Hello, everyone. We are here, Mr. Jonathan Little, the number 40 podcast. We are on our way to a very special day. Jonathan is gracious playing the UK Millions Party Poker event today, day 1B. You played yesterday, and you're here now again. You're going to come a little bit late to this tournament. You had a good run to start. Tell us how you're doing, who you are. Give the people what they want, Jonathan. What's going on? How are you?
Hello. I'm great.
You're doing well?
It's 100 questions.
It's a lot. I like to just bomb it at once and see if you can handle it. So we're here, but tell me a little bit about what's happened so far this trip. You played the mini millions. You went deep.
We have 102 questions now.
Yes.
All right. So question number one.
Yes.
I am Jonathan Little,
Yeah.
professional poker player, author. I have written 14 books on poker. Another one's coming out of the World Series, so 15.
Holy cow.
I own a training site, pokercoaching.com, where we're going to be giving you a giveaway to get a membership at the end of this podcast episode.
Yes.
And I have about $7 million in tournament cashes over a decent amount of time. And I'm an old man now. I have 2 kids. I live in New York City, and I try my best to live a semi-normal life while still traveling to play poker. So we're out here in Nottingham.
Yes.
It's a cool place. I like it. I was just walking over from my hotel to Jeff's, and this is a sweet city. Like, there's just a bunch of old, cool architecture.
It is. It's
really neat.
It's different. It's archaic. It's nice. It's got that really old English feel to it.
It's archaic, but still like hip.
Right. Yeah. It's got to merge there.
Yeah.
So
anyway, poker tournament.
I want to ask Jonathan I want to just kind of dive in here for a second, because Jonathan and I both, I would say it's fair, we're 2 of the more active people in the community in terms of content, in terms of being socially promoting poker. So when did you transition from being so much playing all the time to decide, all right, I want to go do content, do coaching, do this type of social promotion? What clicked in your head to say, all right, I want to do more of that stuff?
I don't think I ever really thought of it as I am trying to do social promotion. It was more of, whenever I would go play a new game, or even in my current game, whatever I was playing, I would always hire a coach to teach me, because this is like a super value compared to trying to grind it out and learn it yourself, because it would take forever and you're going to make a lot of mistakes.
Right.
It's just way cheaper to pay someone for their years of experience consolidated into exactly what you need to learn in that moment. And so I would always hire a coach. So after I became one of the best players in sit and goes a long time ago, this was, I don't even know, 2006 or something like that.
Right.
I decided to start coaching other people myself. And then I quickly realized there was more demand than supply. More people want to be coached than I had time to coach. So I started making training videos. This was, like I said, 15 years ago or something like that. And I've been doing it ever since. It started off small, but then over the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, I decided I wanted to settle down, have some kids, and be able to stay home without it, completely wrecking my finances.
Right.
And so I wanted to ramp up that business, and I've been ramping it up a lot over the last 5 years, but I've been making poker videos for 15 years. So
that's awesome. How did you get such a strong domain name? Pokercoaching.com. It's like owning poker.com or whatever.com. It's just like, that is powerful. 2 keywords. Where did you get that, and how did you come up with that to get that site?
I've had a lot of good things just fall into my lap, and that was one of them. So my first poker coach was a guy named Bill Seymour. He was a grinder from the 80s, 90s, and he had a site called pokercoaching.com.
Okay.
And that's actually where I went as young Jonathan Little. I paid him $100 an hour to coach me. I'm sure I just Googled, is there AOL or Yahoo or whatever?
Yeah.
Poker coaching, and that's what came up, pokercoaching.com. So I went there, read everything on it, learned a lot from the site, and then hired him as a coach. So he coached me for quite a while. I learned a lot. And after a while, he retired. I think he's 70-something years old now. And he said, do you want to buy this domain name from me at a relatively reasonable price? So I said, sure.
Was that site up and running where, like, that's where you found it, or was it just that he owned the domain and wasn't using it? It wasn't an interactive quite like this, I'm sure, back a long time ago, but was it up and operational? It was
basically imagine like a coaching profile page for him and another guy. And they had some articles about poker. And it was kind of neat, actually. I remember, like, you could click on random images and it would send you to random articles.
Okay.
It's like, oh, check out this hidden article. If you click on my image, it'll take you to the special article where I played this high-level hand, and it was cool.
Interesting.
And so anyway, it was already up and functioning, and I actually initially planned on making it into a poker coach to poker student, like, matchmaking site. like a marketplace essentially.
Okay.
But we decided to go against that and instead just make it into what it is today.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. So just to be clear, guys, if you are, we have a giveaway, and courtesy of Jonathan today, we're going to give away 1-year premium coaching membership. That's pretty hefty value there, over $1,000, and that's going to be at the end of the show. So there is just, before we dive in, there's a lot to talk about, but I do want to just understand what constructs of this if they're going to sign up for poker coaching, just to understand what they get. There's quizzes. It tells you here, there's interactive quizzes, video classes, and webinars. Also, you have some other high-level pros that are involved, and I guess they produce content for you.
We do. We actually just hired a few more. So there are a few facets of poker coaching. There are the interactive quizzes, where basically it's like you're playing hands in real time, and you click, let's say it puts you in a pre-flop scenario. Everyone folds to you. You're on the button. You have whatever, 9-8 suited. Do you fold? No. Do you call? No. Do you raise normal to 2.5 big blinds? Yes. Do you raise to 5 big blinds? No. Okay. And then you'll get a score for each of those, like folding's pretty bad, etc. So then I will get on there and give you my thoughts on that scenario. Okay. So let's say we raise, big blind calls, flop comes, whatever it is. They check. You have 4 options again. And then you get a score on each of those options. Then I'll give you my feedback on each of those options. We ask you how you're going to play your whole range on the button.
Okay.
And you have to go through. We have a range analyzer program. Lets you say which hands you're raising, which hands you're folding. Okay.
Yeah.
Say you raise, big blind calls, flop comes 10-6-3. Your opponent checks. Now, how do you play your whole range? Which hands are you betting? Which hands are you checking? And you need to tell me every single hand in your range, how you're going to break it down.
Okay.
So basically, it's a range balancing exercise, right? And then let's say you do bet. You should probably bet with 9-8 on, let's say, 10-6-3 because you have a gut shot.
Right.
Right. So say we bet, opponent calls, turns a whatever, a queen, opponent checks. Now we have the range that we got through the flop with, 9-8, ace-10, stuff like that, right? Good made hands and draws for the most part.
Yep.
Maybe everything on 9-6-3,
Right.
Anyway, you have to tell me. That's part of the exercise.
Okay.
And so then what do we do on the turn? Which hands are we betting? Which hands are we checking? And then we go through the river. And there are many, many of those. We do one of those each month. And that takes a long time to go through that exercise.
Of course. Yeah.
It's work. It's kind of like homework, right? If you want to get really good at poker, that's a good way to go about studying in a way that you can then implement that at the table. And I'll often go through and show what a solver would do in these spots as well. And then a lot of the questions talk about, like, how would you adjust to specific types of opponents, right? Like, let's say the opponent in the big blind is a really tight player. Maybe you want to be bluffing them a little bit more often, right? Against Jeff, if that turns a queen, just bet everything.
Just go for it. Yeah.
And then just bomb
2020. It's a new year. I'm sticking on. Right? Just at your own risk.
So that's the other aspect. And then we have one more aspect, which are live interactive webinars, where you saw some of the other coaches. I've actually been hiring some of the people who I wanted to learn from. There's a guy, Michael Acevedo, who is like the GTO expert. He helped develop PO Solver a while back, and he just wrote a book, Modern Poker Theory, that is amazing. Also, we have some of the best exploitative players in the world. We have Jonathan Jaffe, who is just a crusher, and Faraz Jaka, who just came on board as well. And
damn, business is good. You're grabbing all the crushes. I
am hiring the people I want to learn from.
Right.
So it's an easy way for me to get coaching from people.
Right.
And then share it with everyone.
That's amazing.
And so the site's not quite updated for them yet, but it will be in the near future. And so we are just continuously expanding the roster to basically let everyone improve and find people they like learning from.
Right.
And so those are the main aspects of the site: the quizzes, the challenges, and the interactive webinars.
And it's nice for you as well, because you've been in the industry a long time. You've played with these people live. You know them in person, so you're not just like cold randomly going for people. You get to know people you like, you respect, and you see it, and get to kind of you've done interviews for years in theory, right? You know who these guys are, so that's great. So that's poker coaching. We'll probably check back on this again at the end of this we're going to give away the $1,188, which is just a ridiculously large giveaway. That is going to be, again, a pinned one of the tweets up top here. You can see all you have to do to ask a question. Actually, we're going to do questions at the end, so you can ask a question for Jonathan. We'll just quickly run through here. You have a very strong Twitter. I see you do a lot of posting, a lot of hands. You ask questions. You give scenarios, so very interactive. You also have a YouTube channel. Looks like you just had a fresh video up that one of the more interesting hands where someone folds quads on the river, which is pretty rare, right?
Normally you don't want to fold quads, but I actually think it was a good fold.
Right.
In that rare, weird instance where you get 5 or 6 bet on the river.
Right.
When you get 6 bet on the river.
Yeah, and you don't have the nuts.
You got to be a little bit careful.
It's time to maybe step down. There's your Instagram as well, very interactive. And then something I like to do is kind of go down memory lane here. So we can just kind of scroll through here and see a very established career. Obviously, you've had 2 children. So like you said, you're trying to do more stuff at home. That's where the poker coaching website and other things come in. But looking back to, relatively similar, I think I started in around this time. It looks like you got your live career going back in 2006. Now, were you playing online before this, or was this just like around the same time, online and live, or were you online first?
I started online in 2003 when I turned 18.
Okay.
And I played online limit hold'em in the beginning because no limit hold'em wasn't even a game that people really played. And I got to the high stakes limit games. Then they introduced sit and go tournaments on Party Poker. Mm-hmm. And those seemed like a gold mine. And they were. So I played a whole lot of sit and goes between the time I was 18 to 21. And I started with $50 deposit and turned it to about $350K by the time I was 21. And then I started playing live poker, as you see here.
Were there MTTs even on there?
Almost all sit and goes. There were no tournament scores on that, really. I think I chopped Sunday Million on like 2006 or something. So no scores from that
period.
Right. I mean, a lot of people, they ask, like, how do you build a bankroll? And a lot of people think you just have to get super lucky. But in reality, you just need to find a game that you can beat that has relatively low variance and play it a lot. Right. And you're not going to have any sick, huge scores. But if your graph just trickles up all the time and you start, you play higher stakes as your bankroll allows.
But that's the fun part too. You could do that and flick in like one special tournament a week or a day, along the way. So you're hedging and then have a shot to really bankroll boost. Or there's like you meant, there's so many formats now. The knockouts, there's what you can play sit and goes. You can do the zooms. If you find the right stakes, the right format that suits you well, and a lot of people are playing 6 tables, 12 tables. So if you're like, find a spot where you can play really well, do a couple tables, you can. The poker's still, people I think sometimes think, oh, it's like the golden years are done, which is sort of true, but at different stakes, right? Different levels, there is still opportunities, and people don't play great, and the game changes a lot. And if you do the work and study and go to, what websites, there's a lot of good programs out there to learn. There are opportunities. So
I think poker currently today is a great way to turn a little bit of money into a pretty good amount of money. Mm-hmm. $50 into, $500K.
Right.
I think that is definitely doable. It's kind of hard to turn, $50 into $5 million.
Right.
But that's fine.
Right.
$500K is plenty of money for a lot of people, and I think that is definitely doable.
Right.
If you are really dedicated and work really, really hard, and you're willing to put in the time and effort required to succeed.
Absolutely.
And I mean, like, even today, a lot of my students, they're just like 1-2 no limit players live who are kind of struggling, who want to win money, and I've made lots of them into like winning 2-5 and 5-10 players, and they're making $100 an hour playing live poker. And
that's
do the math. They're making $100K a year.
Yeah.
Right. Just with like no variance again.
Yeah, that's amazing. And just again, I've been working with Raise Your Edge heavily. There's a handful of good poker coaching or programs out there. I believe it's not anytime there's more information, it's good to sort of look at other things and see what else is going on. Who do you target specifically for your coaching side? Because Raise Your Edge is a little more advanced. I would say it's more extreme principles and advanced concepts, not for someone I would say who's just looking to start out. Who do you target if you were to look at, if you're talking out there and you're saying, this is my site, this is who I'm targeting. Who is it? Who's your typical player?
I am mostly targeting people who are, either losing or break even or small winners at the small and medium stakes. I'm not trying to target the absolute best poker players in the world because they're already sickos anyway, right? And the amount of information I could give them would be useful and helpful, but minimal, right?
Right.
And also, there really aren't that many of those people anyway. I'm trying to help a lot of people who, come up to me playing these live tournaments saying that they want to win money playing poker.
Right.
And I realize most people are not winning money playing poker, and those are who I am working to help. So I've always tried to keep the price point relatively low. I realize the neat thing about educational poker content is that it's effectively quote unquote free, even if it is expensive. Like I know Razor Edge is $1,000 more or something, and it feels expensive. But if you think about it in terms of you have great players giving you their knowledge condensed into a consumable format.
Right.
It's if you like prorate it, think about it. How much does it cost a day?
Yeah, and if you're talking
like $1 or $3 or something.
And if
per
you're
year.
talking about you're talking about playing. If you're playing $200, $500, $1,000 buy-in tournaments, it's like,
even $50 buy-in tournaments or $5 buy-in tournaments.
It's like not that many to make justify it. So right. It's all relative.
And so then I try to, like, we have the poker coaching membership. It's $40 a month, and it's like really free. So I've tried to make things as consumable as I possibly can while still not going broke, paying all the best players to make the content.
Right. There are costs. Yeah, exactly. You got to keep the lights on.
Believe it or not, it's not free.
It's not free. That's not free.
If you all saw this setup Jeff has right here, I would never travel with all this stuff. He has a separate suitcase. He has a giant monitor. He has a giant microphone. I mean, oh my God.
I like to say it's not a hobby, but I'll tell you this. I'll say this. My Twitch over the years, like this, that is the most upsetting, frustrating experience is like even here on the internet. I was telling you that if we did this at nighttime, it might not work, right? Like at the point, like there's so many variables of traveling. You've broken your monitors on the road. Like a monitor broke. This monitor is specific to the whatever. It's like such a headache, right? I'll just say this. Like I really do respect you. I respect guys in the industry that I think really go out of their way and do a lot of content, because I understand how ridiculously grueling it is, and it's you have to really want it and enjoy it, because it is a lot of work. It's not just like, okay, I buy a domain name, throw it up and go. So I want to, I'm acknowledging you. I know you work very hard, and I think, in terms of like the actual, not necessarily just content, but in terms of like coaching information, I've noticed, and obviously you've written 14 books now. It's crazy. Like I'm actually working on one book and realizing how intense it is. I'm sure it gets a little bit easier, but it's sort of that's also an undertaking, right? It's hard to do it all and keep it all balanced, and then have kids and family and play live, and it's not easy. So
it is. It's important to figure out what your goals are and what you really want in life. And for example, if you don't really care about having a book, don't write your book. Right. And if you don't really care about having a poker training site, don't have a poker training site. Do what you love. Yeah. And then it never really feels like a grind, right? Whereas if you do things because you feel like you have to, that's when you start to become like annoyed that you have to do it.
No, I mean, I would imagine that you feel this way too. It's kind of like, it's exciting because when you wake up, there's literally, you're never ever bored. Like you could literally say, okay, I got to check in with this guy, my site, I need to put up this video. It's almost maybe like too much, but if you have it a place where you get it running and it's operational, then you can kind of do it at your own pace, right? It's like you always have something you can do that you're passionate about. That's really what it's all about, I think, at the end of the day. So,
and I keep a big to-do list of things to at least consider. Not necessarily that I have to do, but if I wake up and look at the list, feel like doing something, I'll do it.
Exactly.
And then it's like I'm ready to do it. It's not like, oh my God, I have to do something on this list.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where I will do a big project. Like I just finished this book. It's like Selling at Tough No Limit Hold'em Games. It was inspired after my best-selling book called Selling at No Limit Hold'em, where I got 18 really good poker pros and mindset experts to write about their level of their topic of expertise. And it was a very great seller because, we're playing well with others. Like here, you play well with others. You work with people, you collaborate.
Right. It's not always a competition, or it's like you have to understand there's a value proposition exchange, and you can learn and get, and just like getting better at poker, it's nice to have friends and talk, right? That's a big way to learn, is to chat with other people. Because if you think one way, play on the button in this spot, and then you hear like a world-class player say, oh, I would do this. And then you might say, oh, that seems bad. These little things, you need to be able to collaborate. You need to be able to let your guard down and not always think you know best. I think that's important too.
Well, so that's how that first excelling book came about, is I realized I was traveling around the world, and I'll just like go out to lunch with good people or be on someone's podcast or whatever. I'm talking with all the best players in the world. And I wanted to try to figure out a way to bring that to the masses.
Yeah.
So I had each of them write a chapter on what they're great at, and the book was wildly successful. Go figure, right?
That's awesome.
Turns out having a lot of people write exactly about what they're best at is really useful.
Who are some of the people involved?
So for Heads Up, we had Olivier Bousquet. It's like one of the best Heads Up players. Yep. We had Phil Hellmuth write a chapter on short stack play, comparing
Positivity
it to,
or
no, not
actual poker.
Actual short stack poker.
Okay.
And he wrote it with Liv Boree.
Nice.
So we had like GTO Computer compared to Phil Hellmuth's strategy
Mm-hmm.
in the same chapter. So that was pretty cool.
White Magic.
Yeah, White Magic chapter.
Nice.
That was a lot of fun. We had like Jared Tendler, Elliot Rowe, Trisha Gardner. Those are some of the like best mindset experts in the world. We had Matt Affleck. We had Scott Clements. Like a lot of just really great players. The people who I like.
Right.
People who I like. People who I work with. I mean, Matt Affleck is a coach on poker coaching now because I loved his work. Right. Awesome. And you continue working with people. Like we had Alex Fitzgerald, Assassinato. He's now a poker coaching coach as well. And so,
how have those books you've written 14? How talk to me a little bit about that? How have they all done relatively similar? Have some been like you were like disappointed in the result of how it turned, like what the overall, I guess either how you would gauge it in sales or how it was perceived versus like the one you just mentioned was so good, and what you think was the difference between the best and maybe one that didn't perform as well?
Quite often the promotion of the book is very important. Mm-hmm. Like for example, I had a cash game book that kind of got lost in terms of promotion and didn't really get promoted. Turns out it didn't sell very well, right?
Right.
But at the same time, like a lot of people don't really care for a cash game quiz book, which is what that one was.
Okay.
And fine, right? I don't really like get disappointed about things. Like if it just doesn't sell well, okay, good. Learn and don't do more of that, right? And if people love that excelling series, make another one. So a few years ago, I realized that I need to make sure I'm staying at the top of the poker economy, right? And so I started working with a poker backing site called Pokar that backs a lot of people in online poker tournaments. You've probably seen their avatars if you play online. And they have a private training site there. So I started studying everything I can because I love studying that kind of stuff. It's actually how the book Modern Poker Theory came about. Is their GTO expert was Michael Acevedo. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's content is amazing.
And he's one of the ones who started PL Solver.
Yeah. And now he's a poker coach as well. And we had a whole book come out of the fact that, I like the content. And so anyway, they have a bunch of coaches there. And I have basically taken their content that I thought was really, really great and made another 500-page book out of it with some of the best players in the world, like Abe Styles, John Van Fleet.
Yeah.
I think he was showing a graph the other day. He had like, I don't even know, some insane amount of cashes this year on GG. We have like Draft Ganger. He was number one in the world for a while. And
he's a really funny guy. His Twitter and he lives with like goats and streams from like or not streams, plays from this like farm on like it looks like it. The
last piece I need for that book is a picture of him. So I Skyped him while I was sitting here in the room with you before we got started. He's like, "Sorry, I'm in full hobo mode. Just grab one off the internet."
He's funny.
We have like Rob Tinian who won Sunday Million twice. So anyway, a lot of great players there, and it's again just me trying to learn from people who are better than me, and then share that with all of you. So that's coming out of the World Series.
Let me ask you something about PL Solver in particular, these type of software training sites. How important do you think they are, and do you feel that a professional, like you hear Bryn Kinney, he was on my podcast recently, number one all-time earner, just won 20 million in the 1 million pound first place, whatever, got the most money, made a deal and got second. He says, I don't do any of that stuff, which not saying he was lying. I'm sure he's aware of it, right? He knows about it. Maybe he's looked at it or glanced or talks about it. He says he's very aware. How important do you think that is to do some, not only just on a coaching platform, but to really dive into a tool such as PL Solver and do like hardcore work like that? Is that a mandatory to be the best, or is that would help, but necessarily don't have to? What's your stance on these type of tools?
I don't think you personally have to use it yourself, but you need to at least be aware of the principles that come out of it. Right. And so, for example, the poker coaching challenges, the way we break down the hands, the way I teach my students to break down the hands, turns out it's pretty close to what the solver's doing. It's not perfect because the solver does a lot of like mixing strategies. It's like close enough. And I think it's very important to know roughly the fundamentally sound strategy, but you also need to know how to adjust away from it, which I think like Bryn Kinney probably knows pretty close to the fundamentally sound strategy, but he's really good at adjusting away from it. Like maybe one of the best in the world. And if, for example, there are plenty of spots where, let's say you're normally supposed to bluff only 30% of the time. If you know your opponent folds too often, you're supposed to bluff 100% of the time. And he probably just does it.
And he's aware of population tendencies. I was talking to Rainer Kempe one time in March of last year in Brazil, and he was making a really interesting point about that population tendencies. And you just need to be you need to be aware of what's actually happening at the moment, because what happened 6 months ago as like a standard button play, things change, right? So if you're not in tune to like what the norm is, you're not going to be able to exploit it, right? And that's important, right? So
it's very important.
But the PL Solver in particular, like I'm the kind of guy, I don't mind studying. I like learning, but that type of stuff is intimidating.
Well, I'll tell you what to do. You need to outsource it.
Right.
That's what I do.
I know players that exactly. There's the guys that use it and they get a coach or someone that shows them like, hey, because like you said, you don't need to go and do every hand and plug it in. But if you look at examples and they show you how to use it, and then you look at it, now it's going to trigger similar to an ICM spot.
Yeah.
If you look at, ace 10 off, you look at a really close spot. If you're supposed to call or fold, it's nice because you're not just learning that one spot. You now have a chart in this scenario where you actually get to see, what would I have done? Ace Jack suited's definitely a call, but ace 9 off was also a call. And this is like the type of stuff that triggers. So I think that's
things like quizzes, right?
Yes.
I mean, that like testing yourself in these scenarios is very important. That's why we have that as part of poker coaching. I made that to be a site that I wanted to have coming up. And then I realized, oh my gosh, we already made that. We did it. Now what do I want? Well, now I want a site for now, right? Which is why I've been building it out further. And it's why I hired Michael Acevedo, the GTO expert, to make content, because that's a way of outsourcing it and just giving it to all the students there.
Absolutely.
And like just the other day, he went through a major online final table where he used the solver to go through a lot of major hands with ICM implications and showed how that kind of thing changes, right? So now we have GTO on top of ICM, and a lot of people just aren't doing that stuff. I don't even know how to do that stuff. I don't know how to do it. I couldn't plug it in if I had to.
Exactly.
And that's okay, right? Because I know the guy who can.
Right.
And fortunately, the guy who can is happy to work with me.
That's awesome.
Because, you got to play well with others. It's important to play well with others.
That's a must. All right.
A lot of people don't realize that poker is not really a solitary game. It may feel like it. It may look like it. But at the end of the day, all the best players in the world, for the most part, have some people around them. And even those who say they don't.
Right.
They actually do.
They're not living in a hole by themselves. They go to dinner with people. They talk to people. They have a couple. Even if you have one or two. That's all that sometimes it takes. Let's run through, because I always love to do this. Let's look through your career here a bit, kind of just go back to, so you're playing online. You said you grinded $50, the dream. Like I did similar, some $50 deposits on Party Poker, as a matter of fact. Nice that that's who I'm with now, and that's nice to say. That was like the original site I ever played on. But
same.
Yeah, it was a great. Those were the golden years.
Hold on. Let me give you a story before we even. I think we're right at the beginning of 2006.
Okay.
In 2006, I was like I was the person who paid the most rake on Party Poker.
Okay.
I was playing all the sit and go 16 tabling, and they flew us out to Vegas to just have a party. Me and 10 other guys who were
the OG,
the biggest raking people. Turned out they were all the best sit and go players.
Okay.
Because it was $200 plus $15.
Right. So
rake, which is not actually that much money. It's not insane or anything, but
16
when you're six tabling it 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Right. So we went out to Vegas and got to hang out with Mike Sexton. I remember we went to Prime at Bellagio, and I took my mom out there. It was a lot of fun. So Party Poker was already treating me pretty well.
Love that.
Thank you, Party Poker.
Yes, they're still around, still killing it. So that's very cool. That's that was like the original back in the day, early stuff here. We then see you go live. You play. Do you remember this? Do you remember playing your first live tournament?
I do. I turned 21 in December, and then in January I went to Tunica. Is that some Tunica? Yeah, Tunica.
Yes.
Tunica, Mississippi, and. I was a young, dumb kid. I remember my mom made me take traveler's checks. So I took $10,000 in traveler's checks. It turns out you have to sign each one of them before you use it.
Okay.
Each check is $100. So I had to sign my signature $100.
All right.
I went there. I think I cashed the first tournament I played. I thought, okay, this is just great. I'm going to win all the money.
Look at the payouts back then. That's interesting.
First place in a $500 tournament was $170,000 for Greg Murkow. He's still around, actually. That's funny.
There you go.
$170K for a $500 tournament back in 2006 in Tunica. So anyway, I cashed the first tournament. I think I cashed the second tournament. I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm just going to win everything.
Right.
And then I didn't win much of anything for the next year.
Yeah. Well, you did see, it looks like you played the cruise, which is cool too, because this is like the original as well. The
Party Poker Million cruise.
Million on cruise. What was that like? I don't know anyone really. I've never talked to anyone who's been on.
Oh my God, it was a lot of fun. I remember.
I don't recognize many of these names. Kenneth James.
Mike Schneider he was the best limit hold'em player for a long time. I actually final table another limit hold'em tournament with him.
Okay.
In the future, Kenneth James.
Yeah, I don't recognize a lot of these names.
Who else do we have? I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. It was a limit hold'em tournament, right?
Oh, that's right. They did. So this was, imagine a limit 500 person buy-in tournament. It's
no, $10,000 buy-in.
Yeah, 500 person.
So anyway, I got my way into that by playing a $2,000 sit and go on Party Poker, and I played a lot of sit and goes back then. So I think I had 500s then plus these 2K step tournaments, and I went there. I took my parents on the cruise. They loved it. I remember seeing Barry Greenstein there. I was starstruck from all the people I saw on TV.
Right.
And I remember Phil Ivey was there, and I think he busted on day one and then took a private jet out of Jamaica or somewhere.
Wow, that's awesome. That's hilarious.
I remember thinking, wow, all right.
That guy's
a boss.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
All right. So that's okay. So you play a 10K buy-in, you won a satellite, you're there. Now let's fast forward a bit, and you get now, not long after, but 2007, you score in the Bahamas a nice, I mean, these are like the massive tournaments back in the PCA days, and you get a big score there, final table. What was that like? Was this a turning point in your career to hit that big score? Did that influence your bankroll? Or
not really? It was kind of an interesting scenario back then because I just made a deal with a backer before I was playing by myself. And I think I lost like 150K in the first year of playing. Okay. So I had like 300 something K. I lost 150 of it. So I made a deal with a backer where it was kind of a weird, convoluted deal where neither of us knew we wanted to be in poker for forever. Mm-hmm. So what we did is I said, I will play 500K in buy-ins. Okay. Any amount I get above 500K in cashes, we'll split 50-50. So like a make-up deal kind of, right? Except for it's period over after 500K in buy-ins. Okay. So I cashed for 320K or whatever it was, but I got none of it, in theory. Got none of it because that was right at the beginning of the deal. Oh, wow. And so I now have to play 500K worth to see what we get back. Okay. I ended up making a lot of money on the back end, but I actually got none of the money. In theory, got none of the money initially. It was almost like, okay, here's my...
He's sort of free rolling.
Yeah, he's free rolling. He's free rolling.
When you would have got, like, let's just say 150K right away.
Right.
He would have...
Then I just would have quit. He would have got his money and that would have been it.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay. And Steady won all the money.
Yeah, because
shout out to Tom Dwan, thank you.
Oh, really? It was there.
Oh yeah, they're back to everyone back in the day.
That's crazy. Actually, I kind of vaguely remember that, but yeah. So I see. Then you go over here. I just love to run through because we'll fast forward a bit. But the early stages. So I guess you're in the same situation. April, you score 146K. That's cool. And then boom, the big one. So this is when this is the 2007. There's a nice happy Jonathan Little. Looks like it's from a different tournament, maybe an EPT, but
that is from a different tournament.
Yeah, but you win $1 million. So what was this like? It's a 7-figure score. That was significant, no?
It was significant, and the problem is that I don't know, man. Like my mindset was not right or something. I just generally didn't care, and I think it's because I played a lot of poker and I was trained to be so desensitized to the swings that it's like, yeah. Cash for $1 million. Like I said, I got half of that. So I got 500K. That's nice. And then I just kept playing. So it is life-changing money. If I won it today, I'd be ecstatic. Mm-hmm. But back then, I actually remember winning. I was heads up and I got it in with like ace-2 against a better ace. And I spiked it 2 twos.
Wow.
And I was just kind of annoyed that I got it in bad on TV. It's like, well, that's annoying. And then that was my thought as I won. And that's like such a asinine thought process.
Right.
But,
boom. So
sorry, being honest, it's what it was. So, and it was awful.
But so after this, that you had covered the 500K in buy-ins, or was this?
I think this was actually the second. Maybe I don't know. It all gets muddled.
Right, but it was okay. So a huge score.
I know I got half of it. So
and then I know that much. And then not long after, you get a second for a huge score again at it was Niagara Falls. So this was to Scott Clements, who's now he
was part of my book. Yeah.
So he gets second to legend TJ Cloutier. I mean, he's a pretty legendary.
That's not TJ Cloutier, a different guy.
Oh, okay, David Cloutier, but Barry Greenstein, Barry Greenstein legend as well.
There you
playing with Ivy at the last one. I mean, so you're getting in there, you're in the mix, pretty exciting, and you're hitting some big scores. What was this? I mean, at this point, are you still playing online all the time, or you're just mixing live and online? This was back before Black Friday, right? So you could go to stops, you could be anywhere in the U.S. and Vegas. You're playing online, you're playing the live tournament. So
correct.
What you were doing? What was the breakdown of both? Was it a mixture?
I was playing a lot of live poker. I would always play like Sunday online tournaments at that point. Okay. And I'm not exactly sure when party poker closed to Americans. You know the date on that?
Yeah, it was 2006.
Okay, so after 2006, the sit and goes got really bad because all the good regulars from party poker kept playing on the other sites, mainly Stars back then. And all of the recreational players just quit. So you basically have twice as many regs in the high stakes sit and goes. Right. Which killed the ROI. They went from like 10% ROI to like 2% ROI. Okay. Back then, they did not have any sort of frequent player rewards program.
So just to give an idea, if you're playing 215s and you're 16 tabling, you're basically saying you're making like $20 roughly, or
$20 a game.
Right.
Times 16, $320.
Right.
Plus rake back, which was another 100 something an hour.
Right.
So you have 500, 600 an hour roughly.
Yeah.
And you can play more than 16 an hour. You really play like 25 an hour.
Right. But 16 maybe is like where you feel like you're playing 25?
Well, no, I would play 16, but if you busted one, you'd load up another.
Right.
One. So you were just playing them all at the same time.
Right. Crazy. So when it, and then
so that died then. So then I started playing more tournaments in live poker. That's when I really shifted the focus.
So it's actually maybe a blessing in a way to sort of.
I don't know. I'll still take 500 an hour all day.
Take 500. I don't know. When you're hitting $1 million scores though, it's nice.
That's true.
Yeah. So
it was fortunate.
Yeah. So it worked out. Now tell us a little bit about your deal. You did sign with Full Tilt. So when did that happen? When did you get approached? Because the deals were crazy back then. You know, you see Stars, Full Tilt, there was 60, 80 players. You make a final table at the World Series, they're giving money to wear a patch. Like it was wild times. Like when did you get a deal and how did that come about?
It was right before that Niagara Falls final table. They approached me and Scott Clements.
Okay.
And they said, we are going to give you 100% rake back. And then your hourly rates can be determined on the place you finish. If you win, you get, I think, like $90 an hour.
For this tournament, right?
For this tournament right here.
Wow.
If you win, you get 90 an hour. If you take second, you get 60 an hour. If you take third, you get 50 an hour. You take any of the other spots, you get 30 an hour. Wow. So it's almost like you're going to gamble here for your hourly rates.
Holy shit. And you guys happen to go 1-2.
We happen to go 1-2.
Yeah, in a spot like this, and any of these major, so you have 2 WPT major wins, you have a second, some other massive scores. What are do you ever do deals? Does it depend on the friends? Like in a spot like this, 800,000, it's over double.
Yeah, that was
first
a lot of
and
fun.
Second. Were you and Scott friendly then, or not really? Or you just knew of each other? Were you good friends then?
We were not good friends then. We were friendly, but I've never had a deal discussion for any of these big tournaments.
You've never talked deal. You just go for it. 800K. You don't.
And I think I probably have a better mindset than most people when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I just don't care. I don't know how to tell you. I just don't care.
You're numb to it, which is what's important. It's important to be the highs and lows too. If you go on a bad downswing, if you lose, you could lose. I mean, what's the most tournaments you probably never in the live scene did not cash in a row? I mean, stuff happens.
Twice I've lost, I think, 40 in a row. No cashes.
40 times showing up to a live event, not cashing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's insane, right? So I mean, if you're not that, like you're talking about mentally, you got to be able to. That's not easy. Right?
Both times we're at the World Series. It's actually interesting. I don't maybe I wasn't playing great. I don't know. It's tough to say because I remember every day.
If you don't cash 40 in a row, something's not right. I mean,
I'll tell you what wasn't right is every day I'd play. I'd get like 2 or 3 starting stacks in the first 2 levels. I get it all in like ace, king, or queens or something at the end of the day, and I'd bust. Okay, happened every day. It was sick. I just lost like every flip at the end of day 1.
Holy shit, that's pretty insane.
And so I had no cashes. But I mean, even then, like getting a cash doesn't matter. Say I had 5 cashes in 40, it doesn't matter.
Right.
What really matters is, are you making deep runs?
That's super, very interesting point because you see guys like Alan Kessler. He gets a lot of shit on the tour for being, they say, tight or complaining, whatever, right? But Chainsaw, they call him Kessler, which is hilarious because it's like implying that he's like
mowing you down.
He's like so tight. But yeah, you're right. You could have set the record for cashes in the summer and have a losing summer, or just you want to get those top 3s. You want to give yourself a chance, and I think. That's an interesting point, right? You'd rather not cash 40 in a row and then go get that $1 million score than cash 12 for min cash.
Right. So, I mean, I think,
and that's
I don't even remember when it happened.
That's a very interesting mentality because I don't think many people even understand that as like they don't. That's like a little bit hard to grasp, right?
I mean, you have to view it as kind of like a parlay. Whenever you gamble at anything where you usually lose, like you're going to usually lose, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. It's cool to usually lose, right? That's the game we signed up for, which is why I'm telling everyone out there, if you really want to grow a bankroll and not have big downswings ever, just find a game you can beat and play it a lot, and find a low variance game you can beat and play it a lot. Like back in the day, sit and goes were it. Like I said, if you can just get your 5 or 10% ROI and grind it out, you're printing money. Sit and goes are not nearly as good as they used to be. They are at the tiny stakes, but you're not going to get rich playing them. So now I think you need to be playing cash games or small field tournaments, which are great. Small field tournaments still exist. And if you can play 100-person tournaments, you'll have pretty low variance. Mm-hmm. But if you're playing like out here, like yesterday, I took 18th place in a 1,000-person tournament. And I think I got 16K, which was even a bigger than normal payout. And it's good and fortunate. But even then, 16 buy-ins. It's like, I'm not going to get rich off that.
Right.
You need to actually win. If I won, I would have got 150K, and then it's a good score, but that just doesn't happen all that often.
Yeah, I got 12th in the exact same tournament at the Bahamas, the last stop, same thing. It's like you beat 1,000 people, you get 12th, and you get I got like 8K because it wasn't the top 20, 10K bonus. And it's sort of like scratching your head, It's like, what just happened? I just like day 4 and I didn't really get much money. But
that's the thing is you got 8 buy-ins. The problem is that you're playing high stakes tournaments.
Right.
So you can shoot that off in the very next tournament, right?
Yeah. It's funny how it works. All right. So very cool. Interesting to know. It's also interesting to know about deals because, like, that's. I
mean, I have made some deals.
Right.
I have a blog post on JonathanLittlePoker.com. Like, I think if you just search Jonathan Little, let's not make a deal. I go through all the reasons why you should probably not make a deal, unless you're just getting paid to make a deal.
Right. If you're getting too sick of an equity deal, on what your chips are worth. But
there was one somewhere in here where I was heads up with JC Tran at a Bellagio tournament, and there was some like weird player of the year implications or something for him, and he was basically gonna like pay me $3,000 to make an even deal. Mm-hmm. So like you're gonna pay me $3,000 against the player of the year.
Right.
Sure. you know,
that seems reasonable.
And like I think I chopped the Sunday Million one time and they gave me $10,000 more than they should have. So it's like, sure. Right. But if it's just like a straight even deal, you need to play and you need to get experience. You need to have.
You got to feel it a little too, right? You want to have you got to feel the emotion, or you want to be able to in a pressure situation, right?
I don't feel the emotion. Because I have not made deals.
But I'm saying that's an advantage then.
Oh yeah.
Like when you're there again and you plan on playing, it's one thing. Listen, if you're an amateur or rec and you're playing once a year, or 5 times a year, I get it. You play a $500,000 tournament, you're down to 4-handed, and you're getting get to lock up the equity. You should make a deal when it's life-changing money. Right. That's true.
It's often not life-changing money once you start playing relatively high stakes. Like right there, whenever I won the $1 million at Mirage, mm-hmm. if I knew I was going to get $500K if I won, or like $300K if I got second, something like that. And I already had $300K to my name. Does really doubling that make all that much of a difference? It's like
depends.
Not really.
I get it. I'm with you.
But anyway, if you play small stakes games, let's say you normally play $100, $300 tournaments, whatever, you should basically never be making deals in your regular game because you're just not getting experience for when you actually do go and play against the high stakes players, right? Because like in that $1,000 tournament yesterday, if I got heads up with literally anyone, I'm just not going to make a deal. Right. Just not doing it. They brought up Jonathan Jaffe, new poker coaching coach.
I was just going to say he's on your site as well, and he went 1-2 here. And at the time, were you guys friendly or knew each other well, or not really either?
We did not know each other.
It's a long time ago. It's 12
but he was he's fun to play with, and he's seems like a good person, right? And it just shows, like, I beat him heads up for whatever this was, $700K. And he was a gracious loser, and we became friends. I actually met my wife because of him.
Oh, really?
At the PCA, I was there, and if you used to go to the PCA, they always lose your money when you wire money in. Just always do. So all the good pros knew to show up a day ahead of time. Okay. So all the good pros showed up a day ahead of time, and Atlantis, where it used to be, it's a gigantically long resort. It's like a mile long or something. It's ridiculous, yeah. And the nice hotels are a long way away from the tournament area. Mm-hmm. So fine, I go down there, try to get my money the day ahead of time. They say we lost it. I know that already. So then they say come back in a few hours, which they always do. So either the option is to walk all the way back to the room or hang out in that area, which was marginally nice, not particularly nice. Okay. But I was there. Jonathan Jaffe was there, and he said, why don't you play $100 sit and go with me, 4 other good heads up, no limit players, and their 4 girlfriends. Okay. So it's me, 4 guys, 4 girls.
So there was
playing $100, not a heads up single, $100 sit.
So there was 3 guys with their girlfriends plus 1, because she wasn't someone's boyfriend, or she was?
This girl was not here yet.
Okay.
Me, 4 guys, 4 girls.
Okay.
So we're playing, and then this girl walks up behind me. And I knew she was not with any of the guys at the table, which is like never happened in the history of poker.
Right. It's a rare spot, yeah.
Because if somebody's standing behind watching someone, usually they're with someone.
Yes.
And I know it's not me. Okay. So it's one of those people. Right? But I knew that wasn't the case this time.
Well, it was 4-4 already.
It was 4-4 already.
Yeah,
which has never happened.
Right. But who was your girl partner?
I didn't have a girl there.
It was just
I was single.
There was 3 guys who all had a girlfriend.
4 guys.
Right.
I'm sorry, 4 guys, 4 girls.
But you were one of the 4 guys.
I was a 5th guy.
Oh, okay. So there's 9.
Yeah.
You were the odd. I
was the odd one out.
Okay, so you were the only
Yes.
partnered. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, fine. We got the situation.
I got it. It was
4 guys, 4 girls plus Jonathan. So anyway, we chatted up. I bust the tournament. We go and have a quesadilla.
Did you put her in for 100 to make it 10-handed?
No, the tournament was already running.
All right.
We go to Atlas Grill or bar or whatever, in the casino where they used to have it. It's gone now too. Everything good is gone.
It's different. Yeah. Baha Mar. Shout out to Baha Mar.
Baha Mar is amazing.
Ridiculous. Maybe the best stop on tour.
I'm never going to miss the Baha Mar stop.
November there too. Yes.
I've been there the first 2 Novembers. I will be there every November.
All right. Look.
So anyway.
Atlas wifey.
Yeah. She left. It was her last day of a New Year's Eve trip with 2 other girlfriends.
She was
2 girlfriends, but they had a weird spat or something right at the entrance of the poker area, and those 2 girls went their own separate way. So now she's by herself.
Okay.
Which, I probably would not have talked to 3 girls doing their own thing.
Right.
Everything had to work out just right.
Okay.
So anyway, she leaves. We chat on Facebook a bit. I had just coached a guy, Steve Begleiter, for the World Series Poker Final Table, the main event, and he took 5th. He didn't win. But anyway, he was having a charity tournament on a aircraft carrier in New York City, where the girl happened to live. So I figured I'll go play his charity tournament. I'll hang out with the girl. I was staying at a hotel that was like $500 a night or something, which is way too expensive. Yeah. And she said, "Why don't you come stay with me?"
Oh, hello. She made the move. Nice.
So then I moved in, and now we're married and have 2 kids.
Look at that.
About 10 years ago.
There you go. That's running good too. That's a bit of a crazy, isn't it?
Everything has to work out right.
Everything, there's a plan out there. That's crazy.
So anyway, if Jonathan Jaffe was not a nice person and cool with me beating him out of $700,000 heads up or whatever it was.
Oh, because this was after.
That was after it, yeah. If he was not nice, I never would have met my wife.
Man.
And now he'll teach you how to play poker on pokercoaching.com.
There you go. I love it. All right, let's go. I don't want to go through. I mean, this is only 2008. Just to give an idea how many. It was a very cool site, by the way. I had him up. How you get to kind of relive your career. They have the flags. You get to see the place, the tournament info. So we're not going to run through the entire. That would be ridiculous. But I do want to I want to hit a couple more. So this was then in 2008. This was against Jonathan Jaffe. We covered this 1.1 million. At this point, you're on your own, or are you? I think I redid the same deal because I did some math and realized how good it was. Right. All right. If you're in a makeup deal and it resets when you're down, right. That's pretty good.
It's a pretty good deal.
So you get a 1.8 million score. Tell me, so you signed with Full Tilt in October 2007. They were literally there, like someone's there and like talks to you before the final table.
They had a few representatives that would just travel around to all the poker tournaments because they just wanted patches on TV and they had infinite money they were trying to give away.
So is that fair to say, like you had already won a World Poker Tour title, but you were here, and if that's how you got a Full Tilt deal, basically. You were already established. You weren't a random guy, so they maybe weren't just giving it to everyone that offer.
They weren't giving it to everyone. They were giving it
notable pros that were there. So you get this deal with Full Tilt. Talk to me a little about what that means and how much, because the deals were pretty insane back then and how they were structured. So what you mentioned the hourly, and there was 100% rake back, right? So then what? So now this is 2007, and how long are you a Full Tilt pro for?
Well, unfortunately, not very long because I was an idiot.
Right. And this is the one thing I did want to cover. That again, not controversy, but I didn't know about this, and my dad makes notes, and he did reference this, and I had never heard this, but tell me a little bit about what happened here and what happened with Full Tilt.
So, like I said, I was getting 100% rake back and the hourly rate.
Give me a perspective on what that means with the 100% rake back with what you're doing, how much that's worth a year.
Well, I don't know. You could probably make like $600 or $700 an hour, roughly, doing that. Playing lots of sit-and-goes like I was already doing, right? I mean, I was already at like the highest volume.
So basically, the only difference, well, it's a big difference, right? Because 100% rake back is insane.
The difference was 30% rake back plus $90 an hour, right? The hourly rate didn't really matter. What mattered was the rake back. Okay. Because you could put in a lot of rake.
Right.
So anyway, I was playing all day, every day. Literally 18 hours a day, all day, every day. And I was getting burnt out very quickly. And one of my friends approached me and said, "Hey, why don't you just let me play on the account half the time? That way we make use of this account." We knew of other people who were doing the exact same thing. And clearly it was wrong. I knew it was wrong at the time. And I guess I just didn't care, or it just seemed like too good of an offer or something. But obviously that's not a good reason, because don't defraud people, So anyway, I was in Australia playing a tournament, and my friend was in America playing on Full Tilt, and Full Tilt found out, and rightfully so. They banned me, and they took the $250K that was in the account, rightfully so. And I learned a good lesson that day to not break rules. Yeah. It's very important out there. Don't do anything to get yourself in trouble. Don't do anything out of line. Instead, try to help people, try to build people up, and try to add value. Do the opposite of what I was doing as a young, dumb kid.
Well, that's very admirable of you to acknowledge that, talk about it, and even, just kind of relive that, because that must have been, when that happened, that was probably pretty, it must have been like, wow, what the hell? I had like such a golden ticket, and I got greedy a bit, and it's like, and then in your head, because even just from a logistics standpoint, that makes, like you're saying, you're not even thinking about IPs or whatever, but someone playing online while you're in a live tournament doesn't make sense, right?
Well, no, I wasn't in the live tournament. I was in Australia.
Oh, so it's like, So when you were not at the table, like you were out or whatever, you were just
Yeah.
like, yeah. So anyway, okay.
Not that it matters.
It's irrelevant. True. I'm just doing something that you knew was not exactly right. You learned from it. You got through it. You acknowledged it, and there's a lesson that you learned that, you know, shapes a lot of maybe. It's something that it was 12 years ago. You learned from it.
It was actually kind of funny the way it happened because I see this weird lock symbol for the NBC Heads Up tournament. I took 5th place in there, and I lost to Chris Ferguson, who ended up winning the tournament. You all know he has a fun full tilt story. And then I got an email like 1 minute after I busted. Apparently someone was following it. Then they said, you're banned from full tilt.
Wow.
So they stuck it to me.
So sick. Why is that locked? What does that even mean?
Lock means that it was an invite only.
Okay.
So because they capped it at 64 people or something.
Right. Yeah. I remember
so anyway,
doing this for a while. And then
that was a very important lesson and turning point for me, because before I was really just playing poker to make money and I didn't really care about anyone or anything. Then I realized, oh my God, I screwed up. I hurt some people out there and I did not do right. And I learned a lesson and I righted my course. I did my best to write my course. And I've not broken the rules since. Because it turns out if you break the rules, sometimes you get punished.
There you go.
And also it's just not the right thing to do, right? You want to have integrity. You want to do good things. My parents taught me better than that. And I don't know where my mindset went wrong, but made mistakes and I tried to do better.
Fair enough. Absolutely. And then, so you didn't have to stew too long though. And over that mistake you did have later that year, you had another monster score. It's pretty crazy, right? Like even talking about skill, talking about luck, poker in a tournament to actually take, especially these are like, you know, the heights of some of these tournaments and the prize pool and the place, the amount of money to actually take first numerous times, right? It's pretty crazy. Cause like,
yeah, I was lucky.
I mean, there's no way, like you obviously to get there, you have to know exactly what you're doing. But at the end of the day, it comes down, there's flips. You have to hold 3 to 1s, 4 to 1s, you know, you have to, whatever. So all those things being said, I mean,
well, so I will say,
you can see the difference between like 6th or 5th, even out of 400 and 1st and 2nd. It's just massive scores.
Back then they were way more top heavy, but also I had a lot of final table experience from playing all those sit and goes I played. Right. Because I mean, I had probably played, I don't know, 50,000 sit and goes or something. It's like 50,000 final table scenarios.
Right.
Against the best sit and go players in the world.
Yeah.
So now this is like a final table with people who are not sit and go pros. I mean, they're good tournament pros, but they're not sit and go pros.
Yeah, and how often do people really play heads up? How often do people play 3-handed? And
right.
You're just doing this all day long.
Right. I was quite good at it. And I was actually kind of unlucky to get heads up and at Foxwood, or where was this? Yeah, Foxwoods against Jonathan Jaffe, because he was the biggest winner on online heads up sit and goes. So I was like, oh, that's not good. But I knew from playing the sit and goes, all right, I'm playing against a good player with, you know, the right thing to do is just be really aggressive. And he actually told me just a few years ago that he looked back and watched it, that I probably just like crushed him in terms of equity because he was folding too much. He didn't realize that I was just hyper adjusting and playing very aggressively against him and making him fold out a lot of these medium and small size pots. Right.
Absolutely.
And I had a lot of experience playing that exact format, which is why I think you actually see a lot of the best sit and go players from back in the day crushing, like Justin Bonomo was a grinder and Stevie 444 is a grinder.
Yeah,
and
he was,
now these players are still the best players in the world. And there's a lot of value to knowing how to close out the tournament. For sure. Well, and just, again, we're not going to just go, we're just scrolling through. So, okay, you've been playing, you play tournaments, but at this point, are you talking me through like 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? What has your volume, you've met your now wife, you had a child, when was your first child? 3 years ago only.
Okay.
So 2017.
Okay.
That's when you will see volume go into the dumpster.
Right. Yeah. So we can
steep decline in volume.
Right. So that sort of drops off. When was he was born when? Your son?
December
of 17. Okay. But even before that, right? I got a son. I know it's like,
you got to slow down.
You got to slow down before you just kind of slow down. And so now, you get around, you play some, you're here. They already have, looks like, I think we both you got deep. That's a nice score. 150 plus the 10, right? This was thanks to Party Poker for adding 10 main event seats. I instantly punted that away yesterday. But so that's good. Saved me $10,000. So look, if you are not playing on Party Poker, going to the Party Poker live series, you are messing up. Holy shit, Elke got second. Elke's a crusher, man. Dude, he's on fire. That's really impressive. But so yeah, the Party Poker events are great because like this event is a $1,000 tournament, $1 million guaranteed, which they barely got, and then they added an extra 200K in seats. Right. So you buy in for $1,000, it's worth $1,200 right off the bat. They've been having these $700 satellites where they just
have 2 or 3 added seats. It's insane.
Yeah, I saw there was overlays on. They overlay a lot on.
There's overlays on everything
for other stuff. It's great. That's one of the ways Party gives back is by doing that. They give back to the players with the overlays and with these big guarantees. So we are gonna just to again recap. We've got take a look at the Henna Mob. You guys can see Jonathan. He has the Instagram. He does Twitter. He's very active on social. A lot of content, a lot of coaching stuff. Check out the website. We are giving away $1,188 in value at the end here. If you guys want to ask a question, follow the instructions on my Twitter. You can click the link and check out. There's also there is some free.
You can get a free membership.
Free membership.
Yep. You can basically like a trial of the site where essentially you can take 10 quizzes. Go through 3 of the homework challenges, and then you get a few of the classes just for free. It's just there. Okay. For everybody. And someone's going to get the $1,188 in value, which is ridiculous. A 1-year premium coaching membership. So we will give that away at the end. To be eligible, just follow the instructions on the tweet. Jonathan has a day 1B today, which started at noon. So he's very graciously giving his time, coming here. We're doing this, enjoying this. We want to make sure we've covered a lot. I feel like I've learned a lot about Jonathan in his career already. And there's a ridiculous amount of questions and coaches on the site, but questions we are going to get to. Is there anything else before we dive into, it looks like almost 50 questions, which we'll kind of speed through. Is there anything else that you want to kind of hit on? We've talked about the coaching stuff. Anything else in your career? Any message to a tournament player? If you want to start playing poker right now, what would you recommend? Like what with the landscape and how different it is from when you started? What would be a piece of advice you would say to someone out there? Like, man, poker looks fun. It's so cool. I love that you know watching people travel, this and that. What would be a message you would say to someone? You need to figure out first, what do you actually want, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, I want to be a poker pro, but then you start delving a little bit deeper. And you're like, yeah, I have a family and 2 kids and a job that pays $150K a year. It's like, what? Yeah. You don't want to leave your good job. You don't want to leave your family to start traveling and playing poker. And you don't want to start small and grind up your money. So it's like, maybe it's not for you. I think poker is great if you are a little bit younger or if you don't really have a whole lot else going on. Right. Which, sometimes when people get older, they don't have a whole lot going on. So it really just depends on where you are in your life. But also, I think a lot of things in life, they're best if you approach them first as a serious hobby. And then see if you even enjoy it, right? Because you may find that you don't really like playing poker 5 days a week. Right. It's a grind. And a lot of people don't like a grind. They want to have fun and gambling all the time. And that's the cool part about poker, though, because that is even if that's what if you decide, you know what, it's awesome. I see the World Poker Tour. I see Party Poker Series. I see the WSOP. It's, the allure of huge prize, excitement. You don't have to be a professional either. But if you want to be a hobby, make it a hobby or play once in a while. There's still a lot of information accessible that you can be better, get better. I had a buddy of mine who I haven't seen in 6 years, lived in Baltimore. He just messaged me the other day. He lives in Florida, kind of near where I live. And he was like, man, I love this. This poker's crazy. He's like, you got to teach me some stuff. He's like hooked on it. And I remember, he knew I played poker. We would hang out back when I lived there. Never really was interested in it. Now he's like goes to Hard Rock every other day and he's like loving it. And he's like, dude, I get it. This is like, I see why it's so fun. And I was like, yeah, bro, just, slow down, do a little bit of stuff. It's like, it's just funny when you see like someone start there, they get into it. Cause it's such a great, like the game, it provides skill and luck, right? There's just not a lot of games where you can actually control what's happening to some degree, but also there's the element of luck and it's fun. It's just a really beautiful game. And if there are, you can't play them for life-changing money. That too, which is very important too. Backgammon or these other type of games where it's like, where chess, they're fun, there's some whatever, but it's like you're not going to get rich. You're not going to play, and you can't go into it. It also takes a lot of time or whatever. So I think that poker is neat because you can really approach it in whatever way you want to approach it. For example, if you want to try to say you want to play a $10 tournament every week, and your goal is to go to the Bahamas tournament and play there, you can put your $10 a week into a satellite. And, you're probably going to lose because you have to win a $10 into a $100 into a $500 into a $1,000. It does happen. Yeah. But it does happen every once in a while. And hey, if you're willing to realize I'm probably going to lose, you're treating it kind of like a lottery ticket. It's okay. Right. And sometimes you get lucky. Yeah, and, some of those people you're playing with are going to get to go and play. So even if it's not you, you can live vicariously through those other people. You can have donated part of your $10 to their journey. Sure. Or all the above. I want to interrupt. Here's a cool feature with StreamYard we're using here. And I see Matt Forsythe, part of the Thirst Lounge 10 in the house. Very interesting guy. I don't know if you know about Matt, but he is
traveled the world and lived in his car, played poker. He's now part of the Thirst Lounge, and they're doing a coin flip trip with Adam from Survivor, who won. They're going around and they literally get a coin and they flip, and they either get like to live like kings in the country they're in, like Bill is sponsoring this trip, so they get like 500 for the day to eat, go out, do whatever, or they get like 25 and they have to, survive like in Peru or Switzerland, wherever. So
good luck on your flip.
Yeah, good. Yeah, he's flipping well. I watched actually some of the content. It's really interesting. On YouTube, they have a new channel there. But he is asking a question here. What was Jonathan's motivation for getting into poker coaching?
I mean, the motivation was essentially I wanted to help other people who wanted to work hard to better their lives, right? Like I always saw the value in learning from others. I mean, even when I was a kid, I would like read books on chess because I played chess a decent amount as a kid, and I would always read books, like learn from others, right? And so I always learned from others. And then once I actually got to a high level of expertise at poker, it seemed like the logical thing to do to try to give back to those who were like, previous versions of Jonathan Little who want to study and improve their lives.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, we're really just trying to make the most of our opportunities and the situations we have and to help someone do better in the situation they have. It's very rewarding.
I agree. Very cool. So Jonathan has a tournament to play. We've been on chatting about a bunch of stuff. Super interesting. I've already learned new things about Jonathan, so that's great. And we are going to dive into some questions here. There's a lot of them. So let's just kind of run through some. Cool.
I'll be late. I don't mind.
Okay. Well, that's even more. You see,
I'll stay here at least until 7 or 8 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Then I have to go get dinner.
Yeah, we might set a record for the podcast length. Well, let's dive. I cannot tweet. This is any resolutions for 2020? Anything you got coming up? Any challenges or things you want to kind of do? Are you a New Year's resolution guy? Do you set goals or just kind of you have so much on the plate where it's like you're just going? Do you ever stop and kind of look at what's happening and make some goals?
I'm not very good with goals. I don't think I'm always trying to do the best in my current scenario. I've tried to do more meditation recently, and that's going pretty well. I want to drink significantly less alcohol, so I've had none this year. Well, it's not only this year. I've had none for like 2 months now.
Okay.
So that's we're starting there. I'm trying to learn from people who are significantly better than me at life, and it turns out a lot of them do meditation, at least a little bit. So I've just been setting aside that 15 minutes a day to use calm.com app. And a lot of the other ones, they're like keystone habit that makes everything else fall into place is they don't drink alcohol.
Right.
Or if they do, they'll like go off for 1 weekend to do it once every 3 months and have a super party and then be done for 3 months. So those seemed like good things to do and good things to try. And so far we're sticking with it.
Okay. That's awesome. Those are definitely two powerful things. What advice would you give a young Jonathan Little at the beginning of your poker career?
Sign up to pokercoaching.com. I mean, the thing is like whenever I first started playing, when you started playing, there was none of that. There were some books on limit hold'em or 7-card stud, but that was it. And it's completely, not completely useless, but pretty useless to learn 7-card stud when it comes to no limit Texas hold'em. And now you just have so many more options to learn. And whenever you are first starting to learn, most of your poker time, I think, should be spent learning. I was at a table yesterday with 2 people. They were randomly talking about poker education. Like I wasn't even involved. I was sitting there listening. And one of them asked, how much should a new player be studying? He's like, 80% of your poker time, maybe more.
Yeah.
Because you just completely lack the fundamentals. And if you're playing, yes, you're getting experience, but you're often getting experience playing wrong. And it's you learn some stuff, but at the same time, you're just going to learn way faster by going through the poker coaching quizzes. It's like you're playing, except for you get immediate feedback that will help you play better when you actually do go play.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give an example. My friend who right now, literally like 4 days ago, messaged me out of nowhere, and he's been playing at the Hard Rock, whatever. Exactly. He's probably playing, he's going there for 5, 6, 8 hours. He's loving it, right? You remember the first time you got in, you play live at a casino. It's fun.
I was shaking. I was so exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. But like you're saying, really, he should probably for an hour, maybe 2, just kind of get, figure out, like, you have a little fun, talk, whatever, get the experience. But yeah, you should be doing work. Not like if he's playing for 10 hours at a time, you get experience. But if he has no clue what position is, what the hand rankings are, bet sizing, and you're just there, you're kind of just flicking it in as
you're playing. Practicing and actively practicing. And the thing is like
it's kind of more fun if you practice, then you can actually go try to apply it and then you're actually proactively targeting what you're doing, right? You're kind of learning.
It depends on the person's mindset. Because a lot of people, they view poker as a way to gamble where maybe you can win. And they often think they're much better than they are at things. I think a lot of people just naturally think they're better than they are at most things. And
it's like that Dutch Boyd quote with like sex, poker, and sex.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Everyone thinks they're the best.
But really, no one's good at it. And it's okay, right? But at the same time, you don't want to be playing for money against people who actually are good at it. And you're just like giving your money away. Yeah. So why do that? Why do you feel the need to do that? And the answer is most people like to play poker because it's exciting and gambling and creates a rush for them. And
it's also that you can't compete against LeBron James or Michael Phelps.
Sure.
And what they're doing, you could go and play against Phil Ivey or Jonathan Little or anyone, or and they're going to beat you at least even some of the time, no matter what, right? Just based on numbers and math, right? It's like, aces versus fives, you're going to win 20% of the time.
But that's not how you get good, right? And so I would tell anyone who is not already winning, if you are not winning at poker, well, first off, keep track of your results. That way you definitively know if you're winning or losing. Once you have results, or if you already know you're losing, you should be spending the vast majority of your time studying, assuming you actually care about winning. So there are three types of people who play games. There are the people who play for social interactions and for fun, right? And that's 95% of all game players. Maybe not necessarily poker players, but of all game players. Across the board, most people play games because they like playing games. Yeah. They're not trying to crush the game. They're not trying to actually win all that much. They'd like to win, but they're not going to devote their life to winning like we have devoted our lives to winning at poker. Most people aren't going to devote their lives to winning at poker. So that's most people. And if that is you, poker is a pretty rough game to do that because it costs you a lot of money. It's different if you're playing like Monopoly, right? If you're playing Monopoly for fun and you're making bad trades and you don't care and you're giving your money away, it doesn't matter, right? So that's most game players. Then you have some people who like pushing the boundaries of the game. These people you playing to win that make it clear you are trying to win, like study. You're not really playing to win. You're playing for some other reason. So figure out your real motivations. And if what you change one of those two things, either your expectations or outside of things.
On your guys' end or not, but we're going to keep pushing through here. It's gross. I definitely got, when I was a kid, I got a lot of, on the playground, but I don't think that's necessarily, that's a question.
No, but my name is John Little. We are in Nottingham going through Sherwood Forest, which is just a 10-minute drive away from here or something like that.
Did you go to it yet?
I did not, but I thought about it on my off day.
That's one thing. One of my things is going to stops. Like it's so often I'll just work or if I have a day off or whatnot. And, I'm not saying I don't get out and do stuff, but I would like to do like here. I would like to see that. That's cool. I would go.
I don't know if there's anything to see. Maybe there is, maybe there's, and we can go and find out.
If your name's Little John and you're not him, you gotta go, bro. I can't let you not go. How about that?
I'm gonna get some green tights and wear them around Nottingham.
Or
Sherwood Forest.
That could work as well. All right, so I want to ask about your coffee.
I have a morning show called A Little Coffee, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. When I'm not traveling.
Okay.
When I am traveling, we put on a rerun. So you can still see it at 9 a.m. Eastern time on all of my various platforms.
Very cool. That's awesome. Check it out. That's nice to have a scheduled content. That's cool. I've read your book, Excelling in No Limit Hold'em. Still think I'm missing small things at the table to get chips early in tournament. What's the best book for bluffing in tournament play?
I have a book called Bluffs. There you go.
It's called Bluffs.
It's called Bluffs. Look it up on Amazon. You can only get it on Amazon.
It's just purely bluffing?
It's called Bluffs. It's only on Bluffs. So that's another project that just fell into my lap. I'm telling you, all this stuff just falls into my lap. If you work well with people, they'll just give you stuff. So one of my students took one of my webinars that I had. It was on, I think, just generally being more aggressive, like finding spots to take the aggressive line.
Yeah, I'd like that. I'd want to check that out.
And he basically outlined it and said, look at this. You could take this and make a book on bluffing because every single thing you outlined here is a bluff. So why don't you just write a book about it? Like, okay, write a book about it. It didn't do particularly well, but it took me, 10 hours because it was already done. Right. I already made the webinar.
You had this stuff.
And it's a good book for people who want to learn how to bluff a little bit better, learn the common spots where you probably should be bluffing that you may not be bluffing. So there you go.
That's cool. That answers that.
I'm sure also on poker coaching, there's plenty of webinars on bluffing.
And did you use coaching techniques from other sports to help people in sports, or do you play sports? Any sports growing up? Anything?
I played baseball growing up. I mean, I don't even know necessarily what a coaching technique is. I will go through their hands and find things that they very clearly are doing wrong. Mm-hmm. And you'll find that most people very, very clearly do 2 or 3 things wrong if they're okay to a whole lot to clean up those common mistakes. 1,000 hands of a really good player to find something you don't necessarily love. Whereas if you're looking at a very bad player's hands, you can look through 2 hands and find something that's really bad, and that will improve their skills just immensely in a very short period of time.
And I will say, someone who has played for years or has a lot of experience that does a lot of things well, it is cool when you can look at someone's game. And I know for me personally, in the last year or two, there's like spots where looking at like 15 to 30 blind poker, finding spots where maybe I was flat calling with pairs or like 20, 25 blinds, and certain spots where like it's like a slam dunk, just like jam, because they're going to fold. Also, part of the reason, like you're saying, to get like 15th to 30th place, it's not such a big deal if you're going to get like 10th through 13th so much more often, or get first, second, and third, and then 25th, right? You would sign for that all the time. So finding sort of like, well, because you're not pushing spots where you're going to lose flips or sometimes, or get, because even if you shove 5s in the small blind off 25 bigs and the button opens and he has ace queen, you're going to win that hand, or they're just going to fold more, or they're going to have kings and you're going to win 1 out of 5, right?
Usually they're just going to fold though.
Right. And they're just going to fold. And that's like, these are spots that you're just like maybe calling and losing if you don't hit a set or whatever. It's just like these type of things that could be something that simple that maybe you just can't quite break through, that someone looks at and like, hey, this is like bad. And you're like a good player even, or like a winning player. And you just like triggers something that's like you're missing, which is a massive part of the game.
I mean, that's exactly something my dad did wrong whenever I was teaching him a long time ago, where people would raise you just always flat with marginal suited connectors off 20 big blinds. And I told him, like, look, you must just start shoving. And one day he did it, and he just won that tournament because everyone kept folding to him because he's the old nit, and he never got called.
Yeah, it's powerful, that type of stuff. Finding one little thing could be the big difference. Do you ever get paid for coaching? Do you ever do personal, like if someone says, I want to pay you for an hour, do you do that often, or is that something you offer?
I do that, but not a lot, because I try to scale stuff instead. I'd much rather like do my morning show for free and help 100 people or 1,000 people or whatever it is for an hour than do a one-on-one coaching session. But I do. But that wasn't the question. Did I ever pay for coaching? And the answer is absolutely. I've spent, I think I looked it up, it was like $28,000 on individual coaching over the course of my career. And I wish I had spent more. It's, like I said, it's effectively free. Right. I mean, think about it. If you prorate that to all the years I've been playing, 15 years, $30,000, what is that? I don't know. Call it
$2,000 a year.
$2,000 a year.
It's like, it's not much.
$7 a day I've spent for coaching as a good professional poker player. It's like no money.
Right.
And I mean, look at the return. I mean, obviously everyone's not going to have great returns, but it's an absolute value.
Yeah.
Assuming you actually do want to get good and you'll make good use of the information. If you're not going to make good use of it, if you're going to play like once a year, it's probably not worth it for you to spend money on private coaching.
Exactly.
But if you're going to be trying to make a living playing poker, you sure better be spending money. And every time I'd learned a new game, or if I was just trying to move up to the next level, I would hire someone. I hired a guy, Greg Shahade, for Sit and Goes, for example, who, Jennifer Shahade, she's a poker player and chess player. They're both, that's her brother. Oh. They're both, I think he's an international master in chess, and he was a good Sit and Go player. He actually played a level below me in Sit and Goes, but I liked his posts on various internet forums. So I hired him at $500 an hour back when I was, I don't know, must have been like 18 or 19.
Wow, $500 an hour back then.
Yeah. And it was well worth it. And people thought I was a better player than him because I was playing higher stakes. But I realized he was good and smarter than me, right? And he found a few things I was doing wrong, and my ROI went up like 5% overnight. And it paid for itself in a month.
Right.
And so it's just a value if you're going to be playing a ton.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, again, we are going to do a $1,188 giveaway. You can click there. There is free membership and some some testing. You can do some quizzes if you check that out. So it's very cool.
We've been through 3 questions out of 48. All right, so we're almost done.
We're close. We're very close. What is more important, finding better competition to improve your game, or finding a game you can beat regularly without your game improvement?
What are your goals? Do you want to make money, or do you want to get better at poker? There you go. That's the answer.
That sounds pretty much on
also
point.
You should probably always try to find a game where you expect to be profitable, because like, why play in games where you just expect to lose or break even? Doesn't make logical sense when you can find a game that is still kind of soft with some good players and still make money. Right. You don't want to just be playing against all good players, because then just like you're never making money. It'd be nice to be able to make some money as well.
Absolutely.
So you always want there to be people who are losing in your games.
That's spot on. Did you your favorite place for vacation?
I don't get a whole lot of vacations.
So what is? You must have one happy place.
I like Baja Mar. Funny enough, I like going there. It's nice. I like the beach there.
How often do you take your family on trips? Like, are you a poker when you like here in Nottingham? I assume no.
I have never taken my kids anywhere yet.
Okay.
Maybe I'm depriving them. They live in New York City. It's a great city. They get to go do plenty of things.
Right.
I've yet to travel anywhere with them. We are going to go skiing in a few weeks. So we're going to go skiing somewhere in.
How about your son's 3 and
3 and 1?
Okay.
So I'm going to be hanging out with a 1-year-old, because I'm not a particularly good skier.
Yeah, me neither. My wife likes to ski, but I'm not either of that. But sometimes it's fun. You go out, it's like you're going to.
It's cool to hang out.
Right. Nice to go somewhere. You get to chill. So yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to be on babysitting duty.
What about Baja Mar? Will you bring them to Baja Mar this year, or is that a spot that would be good to bring them?
I will probably bring them this next year. I didn't bring them the previous time.
Because the baby's too young.
Baby is still like 1, and once the baby's 2 and can like walk around a little bit, I think we'll probably go there. But it's
almost
great.
easier when they can't walk, though. In a way,
it's true.
You know,
I'll keep on to them.
Yeah, and in the airplane or whatever, they just can't. They're there. You don't have to. I'm coming. My son's 8 months old. He's about to start. Feels like he's about to start walking any day. But it's like once when they can start moving, it's like you just got to be on them all the time.
And eventually they can start running.
Yeah.
And eventually they get strong.
Yeah, and then they talk back, right? And then they make decisions. So
yes, my 3-year-old has developed quite a personality.
Yeah, I see.
If you want to see my kids, I have a show called Little Poker Advice. I posted on Instagram and YouTube, where I have like 1-minute pieces of poker advice, usually with one of my kids.
That's awesome.
So it's
they both are chatting now.
No, just the big one.
Yeah, he's. I've seen a lot of content with him. He seems like
he is a character.
Really interesting. You're looking at some of your videos here.
So anything with a baby, that's the 1-year-old.
That's awesome. Oh, that's the 1-year-old. That's a big 1-year-old.
It's a big 1-year-old.
Yeah, he's big.
96% height and weight.
And weight.
They're big.
Mine was mine was length, the weight. It's crazy, man. Babies are crazy. So if
you really want to change your life, it's probably a good idea to have a kid, because you'll get a change. It might not necessarily be the change you wanted, but you'll get a change. So if your life is going really poorly right now,
just switch it up. You want to really do a 180.
Change it up.
There you go.
Have a baby. Throw that into the mix.
Is the coaching geared more towards live or online, or is it both?
It's both. It's definitely both. We have some great online players. We have great live players, and the content is definitely a mix of that.
Are you ever planning to expand your courses for in-depth 8-game stuff?
Not at the moment, and the reason is because I don't play 8-game. It's very important. If you find someone to teach you anything, make sure they're teaching you about stuff they actually know.
Right.
Because if they're teaching you about nonsense or things they only kind of know, they may lead you astray. I mean, look at poker personalities on the internet. Some of them have tried to branch into all sorts of stuff. Like some of them try to teach health or fitness or finance or whatever. And a lot of them only kind of know stuff, and that can get you in trouble. Mm-hmm. I mean, cryptocurrency is a good example, where I've had a lot of people send me an email. I watched this guy's stuff on Instagram, and he said to keep my bankroll all in crypto. And then it went down, and now I only have 1/3 of my money, despite the fact that I've been crushing it in poker. What's going on?
Right.
Like, well, realize it's a high-risk investment.
Right.
Don't put all our money in any high-risk investment.
10% a day, right? The Kelly criterion. You want to have it spread across different.
Whatever it is. And I mean, like, I have a few percent of my money in crypto, but you certainly don't want all of it. And that's apparently what some people were out there saying. They were saying literally keep the vast majority of your money in a highly volatile asset, and that's just not a good idea.
Yeah.
So, but that it's unfortunate that people try to learn from whoever gave them this advice, because it's not good advice, right?
Right.
I mean, you may get rich or you may get broke.
Right.
Which most people don't want to be either rich or broke. They'd rather have some money.
And stability. Yeah.
And so anyway, I don't play a game. I don't know about a game. So I'm definitely not going to be making content on something I do not know. And unfortunately, I don't really know how to vet a good 8-game player because I don't play 8-game myself, right? I can vet no limit hold'em players great. I have good ideas. I have ideas of people who do play 8-game and whatnot, but and I'm sure I can figure out who's decent. It's like obviously who has great results.
Yeah.
But there's no plan for that at the moment because I don't know it. Sorry.
Yeah. All right.
It's not my area of expertise.
There you go. Do you still play micro stakes for fun? Do you
No.
ever? No time. Fun's out the window right now.
Fun's out the window.
Like you playing to win something nice, or you're with the family, or whatever.
Yes,
I'm with you on that.
Every once in a while, it's like I have a book where it's on what's it called? Strategies for beating small stakes cash games. And in preparation for that, I went and I played a lot of 1-2 no limit live. I say a lot. I play like a week. You know, it's not a lot, but it's some. So I will play games in preparation to make sure I am actually aware of player pool tendencies and whatnot. But I'm never just like, all right, 7 o'clock. I want to have some fun. Let's play 5 cent.
Yeah, let's go grind something. Nope, no time for that. John, who's your biggest influencer in getting you into poker in the first place, and who in your opinion today are the future flag bearers for the game? Great questions.
I mean, biggest influencer for getting into poker. I was playing a Magic the Gathering tournament. I was good at Magic the Gathering as a kid, and there was a homeless guy named Jake who I would drive home and buy him ramen noodles every night from the Magic tournament. And one day he said, "Hey, do you guys want to play a poker tournament after the Magic tournament for about $1 buy-in?"
This is what you're
2-ish. 03. We did.
New York?
No, this is in Pensacola, Florida,
where
I'm from. And that got me into poker because I didn't know what poker was before that.
Oh, wow.
And I also didn't realize it was a skill game because it looked like a gambling game from the outside. And so I lost to him a few times, bought a few poker books, and then started playing. Wow. So anyway, Jake. Shout out to Jake. Hope you're still around.
Have you heard from him?
No
idea.
And then who are the flag bearers? Well, people like Jeff. People who are out there doing the work to continuously promote poker and show you all aspects of the game. To be fair, another big influencer would probably be someone like Mike Sexton, who it's like an old version of you, you know, and that's someone who I would watch on TV and learn from. And like I said, I got to go to Vegas and meet Mike Sexton when I was 21. That was exciting.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's still around, right? It's just
yeah.
I mean, he's one of the main. He was the World Poker Tour. He's like a legend icon in the game. He's his voice is so iconic, and calling the World Poker Tour final tables. And now he's with Party Poker. He started with Party Poker, and it's cool. Yeah,
I did a video with him a year ago at Baja Mars. What to do once you've won $1 million. So look it up on YouTube.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like this, just me and Mike Sexton talking for an hour about how we pissed away our money sometimes.
I will say, in terms of the flag bearers and whatnot, I think it's pretty clear too now the direction of poker sites and sponsorships and whatnot. And it's a different game, because I think for a while there was like a period of time where, at the Stars signed Kevin Martin, Jamie Staples, some of these guys who were more micro stakes, lower stakes that have come up, and it was people were kind of outraging, like, how do you sign? How are these guys getting deals? Like, look at so-and-so, they're Supernova Elite, they're crushers, whatever. But it's then, and I think even some of the pros, like there was guys like Doug Polk or other guys who maybe like take shots or needles or say stuff like, all these guys aren't whatever. But ultimately, for poker to grow, there needs to be people streaming on Twitch. There needs to be YouTube content. There needs to be coaching content. There needs to be information. And that's what that's what brings people in the game. Doug, so I'll just tell you this. I remember starting my YouTube channel was like 2017. No idea what was going on. Jamie Staples had told me about YouTube. I'd already been in Twitch for a little bit. I started filming, no idea what I was doing, just went around, bought a camera. Adrian, who was first time late ever in his life today, for something, who was
good job, Adrian.
Yeah, Adrian, if he's listening, you guys all know he's the GOAT, but he brought us, started editing the videos, and just like that I started. And then I remember having my camera at the table, and a guy came up to me. This was maybe like 2 weeks into vlogging. He comes up, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, he comes out to me, looks real excited, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, maybe he's seen one of my vlogs, and I got the thing. He was playing at the same table as me. He's like, man, he's like, do you know Doug Polk? And I'm like, yeah, no, I know Doug. And he's like, that's the reason I'm here. He's like, I watch his YouTube videos. I haven't played poker in 3 years, but this is why I'm here. No idea who I was, hadn't seen any of my stuff or Twitch or whatever, but he was like, saw that I was filming something. He thought that was cool. And he was basically saying, I'm here because Doug Polk. I like his videos. I like how he projects poker. And that's when I kind of really realized how important that was for content and social stuff. And you hear some pros, and people, I think, were knocking, or they want to make fun of some of the guys. And I think that's changed a lot in the last year. Because I think you see even guys like NoLimit.gg, they have a team, right? Some like the Crushers, and like they get it. Guys starting to understand content's where it's at. If I'm playing the Sunday Million, if I'm playing Party Poker's Gladiator, it's like, why not record it? Why not push it to YouTube for highlights? Why not engage people, plus make their own little business out of it too? And I just think that's like kind of shifted, right? Like that's where it's at. Like people realize now that makes sense. If you want poker to stay around, we need people that are doing content, that are putting the game in a positive light, that are educational, fun, informative. And I think that's going on a tangent, but I think that's just like so pivotal now with what's happening. And the U.S. is coming back. I mean, you must be licking your chops. I see it. The sports betting's at a national level passes, right? Poker and sports kind of piggyback and like the laws. Michigan just passed. It's where I'm born and raised. My dad's fired up. Everyone's excited. Pennsylvania just passed. They say Nevada Party Poker is going to be back, it looks like, very soon. It's already up and running. New Jersey's up and running. Delaware's up and running. All of a sudden, you got 5 states. New York comes on. You get California down in 2 years. Like all of a sudden, it's like boom. And I mean, the people that are going to be situated, ready, it's like, this is like, if the U.S. comes back, it's going to be a massive boom again.
It will be.
And it's already happened.
Correct.
Correct.
You said all that.
That's what I'm saying. I got fired up.
Those are the future flag bearers, are the people who are spreading poker to the masses, whatever that means. And now that there is a lack of poker on TV besides Poker Go, which isn't even necessarily on TV, it's more it's a subscription thing. The people who are making the content that everyone can see are the people who will be the next stars, and they already are the stars, like you said. I mean, like I even out here in Nottingham, I was playing, and 3 different people at my starting table in $1,000 tournament said they are members of my site.
Yeah, that's sick.
It's like
cool.
Good. And I mean, like just tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I'm having a breakfast for the members of my site at a place next to Dusk Till Dawn, and we have a decent number of signups. It's a community, right? Yeah. And
it is nice to have sort of a team or aspect of being part of something.
And it goes back to the idea of it's a solitary game, right? I mean, you find people, you learn from people, and to be fair, those people support me. They pay for my training site. They let me be able to provide all of the content for all of them, and it's valuable. Right? So we all help each other.
It's so similar to golf. I feel how poker is, because golf, it's an individual sport, but you're competing. And then also there's days like in a tournament, cuts and get down and the prizes are top, so it's very similar. And also a lot of golf guys are friends and they interact and they're sharing stuff. And then it says exactly, although it's competitive, they may train with a partner or someone, or they work together with someone, they talk about stuff, techniques, you share a coach. So it's I just see a lot of similarities with golf. I'm not good at golf, but it's
golf takes a lot of time.
So also poker if you want to get good.
Most things in life take a lot of time if you want to get good.
A lot of hours to become an expert. How do you combine poker with a child? And also I see the next one, the question back to back. How do you manage to find the right balance between poker and your family? Excellent questions. I am very curious on this from you, because going in that stage similar of how to find a balance. Do you ever feel, let me take another level and let you gather your thoughts, that how do you justify, or how in your mind, it's like this trip, for example, going to Nottingham, you have this poker coaching site, you technically could never leave your house or be with your family, right? Like I feel the same. Like I could end up going to somewhere, I can do streaming, I can do stuff, I can bring my family, be in a spot and whatever. Or, I have my reasons and I understand, but like, how do you, does it hurt? Like, cause you're, 1-year-old, 3-year-old, right? That's like these are the times too. It's like, I think like that sometimes. It's like, I'm never going to get these days back. But how do you sort of balance and justify and work through that?
So I may not be the best person to ask this question, because I'm in a weird spot where my poker coaching site makes me money. So what I do when I'm home is my wife will go to work from 9 till 6. We have a nanny during those times, or my father-in-law will watch our kids. And then I work from 9 till 6 every day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 6. And I'm grinding that whole time, like no off hours, hard work.
With the kids at the house?
Kids are at the house, but with a nanny.
Okay, but
I am in my office, which is separate.
9 to 6?
Yeah.
How much interaction are you having with the kids?
I mean, you're going to get lunch and hang 30 minutes worth of interaction, maybe an hour.
During the day.
So
in and out, maybe 5-10 minutes here and there.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. And like I'll order in food and I'll eat the food in the office.
Interesting.
So I'm in the office all day. I will have, I wake up with the kids at 6 a.m., wake up, take care of them, make them breakfast.
Okay. So it's not like 30 minutes a day.
No.
Yeah.
It's like from 6 a.m. till 9 a.m. I'm with the kids. And then from 6 p.m. until they go to bed at 8 p.m. So 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day.
Sounds like actually a pretty nice schedule.
And then weekends, I always take weekends, call it off. I take weekends off and I take care of the kids. So all weekends. So that's what I do when I'm at home.
That's a lot. That's a pretty, I mean.
And then when I'm traveling, I'm gone. But so it's interesting because if you actually play a lot of poker, when are poker playing hours? That's what you need to figure out. Because I mean, like I sleep from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. Right? Whereas if you need to play poker, I think what a lot of people would have to do is, well, a lot of people have jobs as well, right? So they wake up, they play with the kids, they work, and then it's like 6 p.m. already.
Right.
And now you put your kids to bed and it's 7 p.m. Are you really going to get up and leave your husband or wife and go play poker for the next 5 hours? It's kind of rough. I don't do that. So,
right. So in a way, it's almost, it feels more structured, organized, and more of, of like, you're actually.
My job is poker that I can do during daytime hours, which is perfect. Like that is my job and my poker line right up on top of each other.
Right.
Whereas a lot of people do not. So they instead have to go play poker after the kids go to bed, or they have to go play poker on the weekends. But then your significant other's pissed,
right? And then you're playing till 2, 3 a.m. or whatever. And now you're not waking up at 6 and doing you're missing that time, right? So it's so it's actually that's like a pretty good balance.
I will tell all of you out there to try, like, if you do have to wake up early with your kids and be present, try to be present with the kids. Like, don't. Like, for example, the drinking I was talking about earlier, I realize that sometimes I'll wake up and be a little bit hungover and a little bit annoyed, and that's not good, right? That's bad for you and bad for the children. And I think cutting that kind of thing out is very, very important. And I'm not even saying like I had a problem or anything. It was more like just, you want to be with it.
You want to be GTO and your time and make sure everything. Because I will say like that, I the last time I was in London, I came for the WPT to Nottingham not too long ago. It was October, and my son, who was at the time, whatever months, my wife sent me a video of him actually crawling for the first time. And then I was like, in my head, I was like, like this, that's like,
you're a jerk.
Yeah. Like what the hell? Like I'm gone for 4 days and it's like, he's that happened. And it's like, then you start realizing like how, I don't know, maybe I'll have another, hopefully we have one more or more, but these are the type of times, like everyone says they're golden years as well. Right. Like at a certain point, they get older, then they have their friends, then they're doing stuff, then in their high school, they're teenagers, and then they're gone. It's like all of a sudden you start realizing these are really what's life about. Is it about money? Or, you have to make money, you have to work, you have to sustain things, but also it's like really what's important. And I think that's a great question, and a good wording is balance. You have to have balance. You can take poker, and you're lucky, I'm lucky that we're able to stay busy and do different things within poker that are not necessarily having to play at our own sort of schedule, if you will. There's always going to be something you could do or do more, which is a great thing. But you just, that's a great schedule. I like that. I think that's a good way to do it. When you basically shut it down, you have a set work schedule. Yeah. And that's it. You know what time you're with your family. It's very clear. And everyone knows that. And that's great. And then obviously
my wife will be knocking on the door at 6:02. Hey, 6 o'clock.
Right. Yeah.
Get out here.
That's awesome.
So it is also worth mentioning that I've tried to travel way less. So what I try to do now is I try to play high volume series where I can play a lot of poker in about a week period of time, which is why I'm here actually, because I had a 1K and a 2K and a 10K and a 5K, and 25K and all that stuff. They have, I don't even know what it was, like 70K in buy-ins if you want to play 25K and lower in a week, which, if you expect to make 20 or 30%, call it whatever it is, say you're going to make 20K in a week or something like this. And also Party Poker does a good job of giving players publicity. So that is also useful for me because I have the training site, right? Like I want to stay relevant in the poker world and go and play poker and have a lot of opportunities to win. So instead of like going to play a lot of random $1,000 tournaments locally, or even, random $3,500 tournament takes 5 days and there's one event, I'm trying to go play events like the Party Poker series where I can play a lot of volume in a short period of time.
Yeah, very cool. Now, I mean, Party does have the day 1+2 where you make it. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily make sense if you're in New York, but there's that option online where you can do that and sort of save time for people in certain parts of the world, which is cool. Because for someone like you or me, that's very, very attractive. If you have a child, you have a family, and you're like, all right, well, am I going to fly to the UK? No, but if I can show up on day 3, that in theory, something like that kind of format makes, I think they're trying to appeal and appease that exactly a lot of sense.
It definitely helps. Anyway, it really just comes to the idea of how do you make the most out of the time you have. So look at the time you have in life. Is there anything complete waste of time? So I had to have an intervention because Magic the Gathering is a game I like, and it takes time if you want to stay updated and current on the formats. And like, I wouldn't even be going to play tournaments. I would just like following it. It's like follow people who follow sports, right?
Right.
You can spend a lot of time watching sports or no time watching sports. Like I watch no sports.
I used to, and now same thing. I
just don't have time.
Yeah.
And you realize
I have it up on the side on a TV or something, right? I really don't watch much now.
You realize it's a low value thing. Right. And there's nothing wrong with it or anything like that. But I just don't have time to do it.
Right.
So that's something I'm willing to put aside. And I've never really been someone who followed sports a lot, but I did follow games a lot. And I had to just muck on it, essentially. Yeah. And that's okay. I don't care, because I realize there are other things I'd rather be doing. It's very important to know what you care about. And I think a lot of people don't know what they care about, or they haven't really thought about what they care about, and they end up getting nothing done, or they end up doing everything
half-assed. Yeah. And there's always time for what's important. That's really the...
Well, you just have to get your priorities straight.
Yes.
Right? Because, for example, if I wanted to be the best Magic Gathering player in the world, I'm sure I could go and travel to all these tournaments on the weekends and completely neglect my family. Then I'm sure my wife would have half a brain and leave me. Right.
Yeah.
So
give and take, balance.
I realize that's just not for me. It would be cool to do, cool to try, but it's not for me right now, and it will never be for me in my life, and that's okay.
Right. You never know. Maybe on the second tour, like after the kids go to college, and you're right,
it's still not worth it.
Not that specifically, but you could, somebody think. I want to say hi to my wife, who is checking in and watching, and she came at a good time. We're covering the family, poker, and the whole deal. So some good questions there. I think I actually skipped over this, which is a very good question. How does your poker coaching site differ from others, and why should I choose your site?
I think it's very important to find someone who you can learn. I think a lot of these sites out there try to be way too high level and way too specific in terms of like, just here's the GTO strategy, here's how to adjust it, and they still just give you this mess of a mix. And I think it's important to try to learn at the table in a way that you can actually do. So that's what I teach. Like on the site, we have a tool section where we have inventable G. Instead of saying do this play 68% of the time and all that, we just blend them and make it 100. It's not perfect. You're not going to beat a perfect robot, but you're not playing a perfect robot. So we try to make high-level strategies accessible and understandable to everyday poker players. And if that's not you, it's not for you. And if that is you, then give it a try. And also, if you don't like me, don't come study for me, right? And I've done my best to hire more and more coaches to maybe at least find one or two but that's why I didn't pick me or any training site. Find what you need.
Cool. There's options. That's nice. There are also part of Raise Your Edge family, but I also going to be Jonathan. Now I'm a member of Poker Coaching, and I use, that's something I want everyone to know what it's for, and be transparent and say, look, it's not this or nothing. There are other options. It's great to have options.
Also, I know a lot of sites don't do it. I think they should, but we give you free access to each main facet of the site. So go try it. It's free. If you don't like it, I don't want your money. If I'm not helping you become better, I do not want or deserve your money.
It's a strong endorsement, strong message.
And we always have money back guarantee too. 30-day money back guarantee. If you don't like it, cancel. I'll send you your money back.
There you go. That's how you can't really beat that. Don't you think studying and following those courses will make my game standard like a million other players? Can you talk about what that means to you when you hear someone say that? Maybe explain that it's important to understand what the right thing to do is, or the right way to play a game, and then there's GTO and then exploitative. So it's important to know what GTO is, or at least what the correct play is, and that doesn't mean. So how would you sort of break that comment down if someone's thinking like that?
First off, I highly doubt there's anywhere near a million players who play anywhere near the GTO strategy or have half an idea. Like I don't. I think I'm pretty good.
Right.
Dominic Niche had a app come out called GTO recently, where basically it's just like running through the solver and showing you. It's like a quiz, sort of, but the problem is it doesn't tell you why it's doing a specific play, but it tells you all the plays. And I only get like 70% of them right. I saw Dominic playing it on stream. He was getting about 70% of it right, which means like we're pretty good poker players. We're not playing GTO. So
there's
probably like literally 5 people in the world who play perfect or close enough to perfect GTO. Michael Acevedo, my guy, is one of them. Remember, there was this video I watched where he said, all right, everyone, we're just going to play GTO today. We're going to use no HUD, none of that. We're just going to play GTO. And then he like won a tournament, some big one online. So maybe there's value in it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we're going to run this bluff here.
That's awesome.
I think this guy likes to call, but we're going to run the bluff.
That's
but But so anyway, no one plays standard. Well, people play poorly standard.
Right.
A lot of people think standard means just like weak, tight, straightforward. Don't play weak, tight, straightforward. Then you're just going to get run over and you're never going to win a tournament.
Right.
So I think this question was not very well thought out, or at least it was perhaps not made very clear what is being asked here.
Okay.
Do you think learning to play well is bad? Like, is that the question? Like, no, you need to play well.
Right.
And you need to know how to adjust. Right. A lot of people, if they did just play like the solver, they're going to win way less than if they would exploit their opponents.
Exactly.
And if you know how to use the solver right, you can input your opponent's strategy, and it'll show you how to adjust. So I think this just doesn't seem like it's not a very great question.
Yeah, but I get it. I get where they're coming from. It makes sense. Like what they're thinking, I don't think was articulated correctly, but we sort of covered why you'd want to.
Well, I get it. Yeah. If everyone's read the same books, how is that going to help you? Well, I mean, this happened a long time ago where there was a book that was very popular on poker, and a lot of people followed it religiously, and it taught kind of weak, tight, straightforward poker.
Harrington?
Well, maybe. And so I made my first book, Secrets of Professional Tournament Poker, just like as a pure exploit to that strategy. Mm-hmm. And like I was crushing, doing exactly what I was doing then. And a lot of people read the book and they started crushing because everyone had read a strategy that was not the GTO strategy, but it was the accepted strategy of the day back when when no one was very good. Like back in the day, you could just sit there and play good cards and your opponents would give you their money.
Right. But
that doesn't happen anymore. Right. Everyone realized, okay, let's just sit here and try to get donations. All right, well, if that's happening, run those people over, right? And that's not the world we live in anymore. Yes. Now there is the GTO correct strategy, and you can't beat it by doing something absurd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. What's your favorite success story of someone taking your poker training?
Well, we have a bunch. Probably biggest is a guy named Blas Zerjau, who turned $5 into $1.3 million on party poker. And the last big guarantee when they did, what is it, 10 million guaranteed?
Bahamas?
No, it was a online one.
Okay. Oh, yeah, just now.
He's from Slovenia. It was a year ago.
Okay.
And now he's traveling poker circuit. He's a smart kid. He put the vast majority of it away for investments. Going to give himself like $300K to go travel and play poker, and he's doing it. He sent me a spreadsheet the other day of his schedule, and it was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like he has his whole life blocked out and great schedule. He's studying. I think he just finished college, and
so he's always in like 20,
he's young. He's like 20, 21. He's crushing it.
What is your most memorable poker experience?
That's a tough one.
I already know it.
What is it?
It's meeting your wife in 100.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
that must be the answer.
Yes, but
that's actually a good experience. You're right.
Yeah, but maybe probably your first World Poker Tour.
This goes back to that bad memory issues. Like I don't really remember that kind of stuff. I don't have a great memory, and I can't recall anything from that day, honestly. I mean, which is weird. Like I don't do drugs. I didn't drink a lot. I just have a bad.
What did you do though when you won? Did you go out? Did you celebrate?
We went to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and there were two of them in Vegas, and half the people went to the wrong one, so only half the group showed up.
Oh wow, that's a bad flip.
Yeah, they showed up eventually, but that's what we did. We went there and then we went to bed.
Vegas was your first one?
Vegas at Mirage,
and then Foxwoods was.
For Foxwoods, we went to Fuddruckers and had.
All right, well
that was actually
Vegas, right? It's a little less options.
Yeah, that was the last. So I'm the reason they changed the structure of the heads-up matches, because I had two in a row. I had the two longest heads-up matches for World Poker Tour, and they both went to like 5 a.m.
Oh, really?
And they realized, okay, we got to change this. Now I think they do 30-minute heads-up blinds instead of 2 hours.
Your matches took a long time versus your opponents just because you were. Do you remember roughly the blind, how deep you were each one?
I think in both times we started like 100 big blinds deep, and we ended like 12. So it took forever.
A super battle, like no one was giving away. There was a
super
lot of
battles.
Yeah. Interesting.
So one was against Scott Clements, the other one was against Jonathan Jaffe, both two world-class players.
Right.
Probably way better than me at poker.
You're not. So that's interesting. They actually amended the structure soon after that. Okay. What is your personal worst bad beat story? Do you remember your worst beat and maybe gave the best one you won, as in you beat someone crazy or that you got unlucky to?
I don't know when I bad beat anyone. I don't care about that. I do remember one that was particularly annoying for me. It was in Vegas, I think 4 or 5 years ago. I had a bad summer, one of those over 40 summers. And I was playing, I think it was 50, 100, 200 at Bellagio, cash games. Game was soft, game was good. There was a spot where I raised, I think I had pocket 9s under the gun. I'm sure I'm going to. Number comes to
hello.
I checked, he bet, I raised, he jammed it all in for like 60K or something.
Holy
So it was like a big all in. Obviously call. And we put it all in. It runs times queen 10, but I beat aces. So I turn over my hand. He says, nice hand, you got me. He goes to muck his cards. The guy next to him says, oh no, you win. And then he looks back at his cards like, no, I don't. And he tries to put him in the muck. The guy takes his cards and throws them up face up on the table, takes them out of his hands and throws them up on the table. He has pocket kings for the straight. And so I lost a big pot. I was very annoyed. And then I got up and I got on an airplane and went back home.
That was when and someone literally, the guy next to him threw his hand over.
Yeah.
You must have been stewing to a new level.
I really don't stew all that much, but that was definitely my most,
at least
I was thoroughly simmering.
At least the reality is the guy did win, right? Like it's not, I mean.
Sure. I didn't think that at all at that moment.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. But I mean, that's actually a really interesting ethical debate in poker, like in these spots. Cause like, in tournaments and stuff, the hands get tabled, right? It's a cash game. There's different places you don't have to necessarily all in. And that's actually a really bizarre scenario.
Clearly, if that guy cares, if the guy who turned his hand up cares about winning money, he obviously doesn't want me to have it. Mm-hmm. He wants the bad player to have it. Who can't read his hand, right?
Right.
Who just ripped it all in with the overpair for whatever it was, 200 big blinds or something. So if he cares about money, clearly that's the play.
What is actually the right, like
what's the right thing to do is to not say anything.
You can't, right? You're not. That's obviously, like, etiquette wise, it's up to you. It's one player per hand.
It's very, very poor etiquette
all around, and that's crazy. It happens to be for such a large, significant. It was a dramatic run out. I mean, it's about as tilting as
it would have like saved my summer,
Yeah.
So first off, I had to get it all in. I had to lose the hand, which kind of hard to do in that spot, and then
you had to have
whatever. So that was fun.
Damn. Okay.
I do not remember what the guy who tabled the hand looked like. I think I could not see anything. I don't even remember like booking a flight and getting on an airplane.
It just all
was a blur. I'm actually very fortunate that I don't remember what that guy looked like.
All right, fair enough. And I do want to ask you, how does that since getting into like the real content, like not even just Twitch, but I've gotten into YouTube, made a lot of videos, kind of storying runs, and a lot of the time it doesn't go well. You bust a tournament, there's nothing really exciting to talk about. You take a bad beat, it's frustrating or whatever. How does that work for you when you go 0 for 40, which is crazy extreme? Just say forget 0 for 40, just not a good summer.
Yeah,
not a good stuff. Like, has there ever been a time where you're on here ready to go on your Instagram live or Facebook your show, and you're just like, fuck, like I'm excuse my language, like I'm the guy on pokercoaching.com.
We were doing such a good job of being family friendly today.
I just had to drop one just because I know this is frustrating for me as well. And it's like, especially when you're like getting, like you said, you're building up stacks, you're losing ace, king to queens, but those two powerful words in poker, results oriented. It's the same thing with my wife. I come home, she doesn't care I lost kings to ace queen on a stone bubble, a huge tournament.
Are the bills paid?
Yeah.
Then we're good.
Winning? Was the time away worth it? And from viewers' perspective, especially when you're providing, pokercoaching.com, it's a massive name. It's it's strong. You're the guy people look up to. The results. How have you dealt at times on a downswing, and how do you convey that? Do you feel your energy is different? Do you feel yourself getting a little bit angry, frustrated, and how do you deal with that when it's not going perfectly?
Yeah, that's a weird question because we are in different spots in that. You work for a poker site. Mm-hmm. I do not. Right. I kind of built my own sponsorship. So, for example, I was in the Bahamas recently playing. Party Poker doesn't pay me any money to go to the Bahamas.
Right.
And went like 0 for 6 or something. I had a video blog made. It wasn't. I went and played out. Each one time, and I video blog. There's no like I don't think there's come to me for specifically a video blog. And if it's not,
it's also, at times though, there's lessons within winning or losing. It doesn't necessarily.
Sure.
So I'm sure you do some of that, but certain times.
I did my best. It just wasn't good.
Right. You just decided not to use it. Yeah. It happens to me too. I'll make a vlog.
Yeah.
And I don't put it out because of what I don't make the money. It's not that exciting. There wasn't any interesting hands.
that's okay.
It's the same thing on Twitch. Like I use highlights of final tables. Like there's enough. It's saying you play enough poker where there's good stuff to use, so you don't have to use everything.
And then in terms of like mindset and general attitude, I try to record stuff like in the worst moments and in the best moments. And I don't really mind showing me feeling rough, like yesterday, I took whatever it was, 18th place or something in the 1K, played the main event, lost every hand for 30 minutes, and walked right outside and filmed myself right after losing every hand for 30 minutes. And I'm probably gonna make a video blog out of it because I already had a reasonable run, and people are gonna see me having, I'm fine. I don't care all that much, but yeah, I'm down. I'm dejected. It's good. People need to see that.
Yeah, they need to see.
People can learn from your successes and your failures and your good times and your bad, and it's important for them to see how you handle your good times and your bad. Like you're not raging and throwing a fit.
Right.
You're annoyed or not loving it.
It's also why it's important to be balanced, because when you do win a World Poker Tour main event for $1 million, it's great. You don't want to go think you're the man and invincible and go spending money, popping bottles, buying cars, being insane. And then when you're losing 40 in a row, it's like you can't get out of bed and you're like, you're dark. So it's like it's important to try to keep it, I think, as even keel as possible. Obviously, huge celebratory moments are great, busting a 25K or 100K or whatever. So tournaments, something like that, it's not fun. So it's like there is a balance between that. But yeah, it sounds like you have a pretty good grasp and are able to stay even keeled.
It's tough when it comes to emotions, because I think I would much prefer to have more emotional feelings in life in general. I don't think you necessarily need or want to be even keeled, but it definitely is a good trait for poker and a good trait for anything dealing with like math. It's like a math game.
I will say I don't want to say I've had like a curse or anything from like filming, but I definitely, if I'm looking back over my vlogs and runs and even online and Twitch and stuff, it's pretty crazy. Some of the beats or the hands or losing aces pre-flop deep in huge spots and whatever. And it's like, for us, it is so it's funny because I think for the content creators or people that do coaching stuff, like Doug Polk, he has this course, he wins the 100K, runs hot, like that, and like those type of moments, like winning a major or to win for myself, like a final table or a big score, it's like you can really promote that, like you can really, it's like so exciting. Like you just like to make that vlog, to make that thing, it's like a great result is so fun, right? And it's just like I feel sometimes the pressure almost like it's like, oh, this is so like this spot is so so big. I don't know if you ever think like that, but for me, especially on Twitch, there's times where I'm deep in something, I'm like, oh man, like this is going to be really special if it goes well. But I don't know if you think like that.
I have been a little bit unlucky when it comes to playing in the bigger stuff recently. I won a 2K like a few months ago in Florida, and we finished. There was no one there. It was like 2 a.m. I'm like, here I am. I won the money. Right. I won the tournament in 200K, and that's nice.
Right.
But it's tough because, obviously,
how you play the 1K is you could go out there today and be chip leader of the 10. You might win this event on this open. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to do it in this. So it's like kind of. Right? It does. It's funny how it works.
I remember looking back a year when I was playing a lot, I would win about 2 or 3 tournaments. $100 tournaments, sometimes you don't get to pick. And when you win the 10Ks, you win all the money. When you win the 500s, you just have a bad year.
Right.
Because you cash for like 30K.
The difference online too. You're playing 2Ks or 200.
Yeah.
Same shit. Your year was amazing.
Another bad.
Yes.
World Series Europe in France, and 3 a.m. and said there's a 100K pound tournament in London. I must have been like
Alpha 8.
No, it was random. It was a private tournament.
Oh yeah, around that time.
At Aspinall's Club. They gave 100K added. So weird. It was like 20 people, and apparently somehow he got an invite but couldn't go. And wanted me to go. So he's like, all right, you have to leave in like 3 hours.
You were where?
I was in France, and I had to get to London. I was in like Cannes. So I had to go there. I go there, I play, everything's going great. and I get it all in on the bubble.
Oh, you were in the 100K.
I was in the 100K.
See, yeah.
100K, I was playing. It was all going well. 100K pound too back when it was like 2.2 to 1. And I got on with aces against jacks, and he made a set on the bubble to bust me.
Who was that?
An Asian guy.
Wow. So yeah, that's a.
I was like, no.
Right, and that's the ones though. Those are the ones I'm talking about though, because
it's a big swing.
Yeah, like even just for I've played several 100Ks. I actually JC Tran, you said you were heads up with, made a deal. I made a deal 3-handed, the first ever Alpha 8. Got in with him. We did a swap, and then we ended up. I got it in 2-pair versus flush draw to knock him out. Big pay jump. Be heads up with the chip lead instead. I lose the hand, and he. I made a little swap with him, but I still got 3rd place, money plus I think 50K. But those type of moments, like to win that hand, be heads up, cover the guy. Now all of a sudden I win Alpha 8 for $1 million. Instead I got 3rd, play a couple more, you bust, whatever. Like those, like you cash the 100K. Dewan says, take my seat. You end up winning that hand, maybe your chip leader. You win the tournament. It's like now you're playing the next 10.
I've been playing all the next 100Ks.
Yeah. But it's like funny. But at the same time, then maybe it works out better because then you're more focused on the coaching. You're more at home. So it's like
I'd rather be playing 100Ks. That's okay.
All right, but you know what I'm saying? Like these are type of moments where it's like you start thinking about like these or like World Series bracelet. You have 2 WPTs, no World Series, right?
No World Series.
I got second one, got it in Ace Jack to King 10 to win it. Don't win it. I still don't have one. This was 2011.
I got a bunch of thirds.
Yeah, seconds, thirds. It's hard, right? It's crazy. And then guys like Dan Coleman, Fedor Holtz, Bonomo, they go on these runs. It's like nothing can stop them. And
I had my sun run.
We did. You had about 2 for a new run. This one.
You put in the time.
Yeah.
You're ready.
I'm ready.
You're ready for the sun
run.
Luck
is when preparation meets opportunity.
Right. You're ready. You're going to give yourself all the opportunity.
We both can final table this 10K, right? It's the first 10K of the year. It's exciting.
I already played it once.
Yeah, but
you already cashed.
And you already settled it. You got your 10K free.
That's true. I'm crushing it.
You're like, yeah.
And you already cashed it.
I'm already in the money on
You cashed 2 tournaments. You cashed the 1K and the 10K.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
excited. Gosh,
it's nice. Yeah. Let's finish these questions so you don't attitude. But we are going to get favorite poker comment. What's your favorite?
I like an ace and an ace. That's pretty good.
Other than that,
king and a king's pretty good as well.
All right. Go top 3.
I like hands like Jack 8 suited. That's a good one. It's a saucy one. Right? I like 9-7 suited. Ones that they think like maybe in your range, but probably not.
Right, but you can punish someone and they don't see it coming.
Yeah.
You're going to get paid.
Every once in a while, you'll get them.
Right. All right. How can I begin the coaching?
Go to pokercoaching.com/flow and scroll to the bottom.
Right there on the top. And that's $11.88 value. That's going to be an exciting giveaway at the end of the day. That's a nice way to give something powerful here. So you guys are still eligible. All you have to do is go ahead.
Speaking of giveaways, every month I give away seats to live poker tournaments, to my training sites, etc. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at Jonathan Little. We have lots. For example, we bought a guy into the $1,000 tournament the other day here in Nottingham. He's playing a 200-pound tournament tomorrow.
How did he do? How did the 1,000 go?
Made day 2 with 3 starting sacks, but then lost a big flip.
Okay, but he had fun and he had a chance.
He had fun and he had a shot. And normally he plays like, $20 tournaments.
That's exciting.
And I gave money to my students who are working hard and grinding it out. I can see them putting in the work, right? So
that's awesome.
I'm happy to reward them.
That's very cool. Do you ever tilt? I'm yet to see a cosmic display of JL financial emotion.
I think I'm really good at not punting off my stack. Good example is yesterday, I was just losing every hand. I mean, I think a lot of people would have been pretty annoyed where I remember there was one who had like ace jack and I was against jack 4 and ace 4 and I came in 3rd. And
right. That's it's just like, sort of like shit's just it's not going exactly right. It
was not a good day. And then, you still sit there with a 1/3 of a stack or half a stack and you just play well. So don't punt. I think a lot of people get in their minds that they have to have all the chips or that if things are going poorly, they're all of a sudden going to start winning or something like that. And no, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, just don't punt off your stack because that half of a stack is worth yesterday $5,000. Mm-hmm. I just want to give away $5,000. So then I just ended up in a standard spot where, in theory, I got it in bad, right? Anatoly Filatov, lunatic, your party poker friend.
Yeah, my boy.
He raised.
He was just on the podcast. He's fun.
He is fun. Saw him at breakfast this morning. I needled him and made fun of him, and I told him I'm going to bust him later.
Did he make it through the day?
with only a 1.5 starting stack. So he had more after he busted me.
Oh, wow.
So he's bad.
Right.
So anyway,
yeah.
He raised button. I 3-bet. He went all in. And I called. He had jacks and I had 10s. I was out, right? And
pretty standard.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, you just flipped. He has jacks and 10s. It's going in. It's that same spot. Basically,
what are you gonna
just
do?
Reverse.
So
right.
But no, do I ever have financial blowups? Definitely not at the poker table. Going back to things I'm trying to improve in my life. After yesterday, if I played that hand a year ago, I definitely would have gone to the hotel, got a bottle of red wine and a cheesecake, and would have eaten it and drank all of it. And yesterday, I had some pasta and then went back to the room and went to bed and had some water. So
little shift, little change.
Little shift.
But those things can add up a lot.
So like that would be my quote unquote tilt is post-game drink and eat.
Right.
So
okay. But now you've cut out the
I have tried to cut that out, and I think it's going to be beneficial.
Very nice.
Don't see how it can't be. I mean, it's either going to be good or neutral. It
right. It can't be. It's a free roll. It's going to be good. What do your parents' family think when you earn so much money at a young age playing poker? Did your mom ever refer to poker as that's the devil? Yeah. How was your family? I always forgot to ask this. So thank you, Richard Crane on Twitter, asking this. How did your family feel about poker at the beginning and now?
My parents did not like gambling, and I started winning money. Then they started thinking poker was okay. But they were always generally supportive. And I think I went about quitting my job and college about as well as you can. And from their point of view, I quit like pretty late. Like I quit my $10 an hour job when I think I had like $50,000 to my name and was already playing $200 sit and goes making $200 an hour, whatever it was. And so
where did you go to school?
I went to University of West Florida. I had an academic scholarship there. You get like,
what city is that?
That's in Pensacola, where I grew up. And so I quit my job, and then I later, but I had lots of results from sit and goes. They didn't have Poker Tracker or anything back then, so I had this giant notebook with like divided into weeks, and I'd have a tally for first, second, third, or out of the money, and then how much I won or lost each day in my ROI, how much I won each month in my ROI, et cetera, et cetera. And so it was just always straight up. And so they say, okay, like he's winning between like 10 and 30,000 a month,
right? And
I said, look, I will set aside $50,000. So I can go to college if I need to. That's how much college cost back then.
Right.
It's a little bit different today. So anyway, I had that money set aside. I said, look, if I ever get down to this money, I think it was like $60K, I'll go back to college. And fortunately, I never got anywhere near that. So that was good.
That's awesome. And so there was never really a
well, I think the problem is I was kind of like crushing it so hard to the point that it was just such an obvious decision. It's very different for a lot of people when they have no money in the bank or minimal money in the bank, and they are making, $20 an hour playing poker. That's when a lot of people attempt to quit school or quit their job, and that's a big mistake. And it really realistically is a big mistake, and your family should be concerned. So show significant earnings and a significant win rate over a long period of time. I think I've done it for like 8 months or a year or something like that, and I think it'll probably be okay.
Awesome. We're starting to have a bit of internet lag. I think it's maybe partly because of the time here, which is a little frustrating that this is, as we mentioned, in the UK, the internet's not been amazing. So I do want to take a couple more questions, then we're going to do a massive giveaway, and then we'll go. What's your favorite tournament to play? Like if you a year, like say
it's the one at Baha Mar, because the venue is great, the tournament's great, Party Poker does a great job there, and I will not be missing one unless they do something to mess it up. Seems like every poker operator's figured out a way to mess it up over the last few years besides Party Poker. Let's see if they can do it.
Yeah. Is it rare for a high-level poker player to also have a family, and how has that affected your motivation to continue to play at the top level?
It's going to sound like a really bad answer to a lot of people, but I don't think I'm going to continue playing at the top level. The top level is currently 100Ks and $1 million buy-in tournaments, and I'm not doing that. So my aspirations are not to be legitimately the best poker player in the world. My aspirations are to be the best poker player I can, given my constraints, which family, kids, business, all that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and that's okay. I'm still doing perfectly fine in the $10,000 tournaments. Like I said, I haven't been particularly lucky in them, but I'm playing and realize I am extracting value. And I make a point to do the best with the time allotment that I have.
Okay, that's great. And do you recommend getting HUDs at micro stakes or any stakes? Do you use a HUD when you play online? And what do you feel about Party Poker getting rid of HUDs and changing the alias?
I definitely use the HUD if it'll let me. Whenever you're 24 tabling, you need, I leaned heavily on the HUDs. And actually, I remember just a few years ago, if it wouldn't work on a site, I just wouldn't play on that site that day because like sometimes they'd update it or something and it wouldn't work. Still on like PokerStars when I play, I'll use a heads-up display, and I clearly don't on Party Poker. I think HUDs are probably a good thing to get rid of. Anything that gives people in the know just one more edge doesn't seem like a good thing. I mean, look, there are 2 points of view as a poker player. You can either try to win as much money for yourself immediately, or you can try to make the game last forever. And a lot of people are very short-sighted when it comes to poker, either because they are just naturally short-sighted or because they have not necessarily thought about the ramifications of busting all the bad players. And we see this in like cash games online now. They're kind of dead. And why is that? It's because all the good players just got way too good and they had more information than all the bad players. And that's resulted in the game dying. And now all the cash game pros are like, well, what am I supposed to do? Why won't the games run? Because you beat it. You beat the bad players too fast, right? And that's kind of the problem with re-entry tournaments. Same thing is re-entry tournaments beat the bad players too fast. And I'm actually shocked they last as long as they did, but I'm glad to see the trend turning where pros are going to make less money immediately, but they're going to make money indefinitely. Right. And I've always rather make money indefinitely than just a lot of money immediately.
Yeah, this was definitely brought to a highlight to even just close the year where Alex Foxen re-entered the Bellagio 5 times. So
5's not even a lot.
You're right. It's $50,000. He ends up winning 1.7. But it's kind of like if let's just say you go to Vegas, it's your end of the year trip. You say, Bellagio 5 diamond week before Christmas, pretty sweet, right? It's fun. There's like 1,000 entries, but really how many uniques? Maybe it's 450, 500 people. I mean, there's a lot of people, 2 re-entries, 3 re-entries, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 re-entries for some people. Now imagine Foxen, who ends up sneaking into the number 1 GPI spot by winning that. He was 13th going into the tournament. He wins it, okay? But imagine you're, Joe Blow from Montana. You're out there. You knock Foxen out, and now you look back in day 2, the next day he's there, he's check raising you, and it's got to be
then he bust you.
Yeah, a little disheartening, right? So it's like it's kind of it's interesting though. It adds prize pools. Maybe in a way, you could argue that people play worse though when there's a chance maybe they're trying to go for more chips, build a stack. So there's a little bit of that, but I think that it's an interesting topic. It's a hot topic. So how would you address this to the community, and what would you suggest in this for the operators?
I think the players need to realize what they signed up for. If you sign up for a re-entry tournament and the rules are very clear, it's a re-entry tournament. Why are you complaining? Don't play it if you don't want to play a re-entry tournament.
Mm-hmm. Or play it and realize that it's not your dream scenario, but that's it, right?
Yeah.
That's the
rule. I mean, that is the rule of the game, right? Like,
and it's a game, and the objective is to win. So whatever you feel that means. If that means you think you should play tight, be in for 1, risk the minimum, and try to let people play bad. Or if you think like Fox or someone else is like, listen, I'm going to take every spot. I'm going to go over every edge because I know that once I get a hold of chips, I'm going to have a good opportunity to win.
Yeah, I don't have much sympathy for people who are presented rules, play, and someone else plays by the rules, and they want them or expect them to play by their own hypothetical set of rules. Like why does your hypothetical set of rules matter when we're playing a game that has very clearly outlined rules? This is a re-entry tournament. You can re-enter until you have 10 big blinds or whatever. Fine. If you don't like it, don't play.
Yeah, and for all, again, just to kind of highlight that train of thought, and people may complain, how about the guy Dylan Lynn who won the year before? Like, okay, he did win the year before, so whatever, but like I think he entered 8 times and didn't cash. Like there are a bunch of those guys that think about how tilting that is for some people, or just what it is. It's like guys are putting 50, 60K into that big prize pool and they're not cashing even. So, you have to look at it too, I think, both ways. It's not just like, oh, you get to win. It's highlighted when someone does play a bunch and they win, but that's not always how it goes.
Shout out to Dylan. I had him write a mixed game book for my publishing company, D&B Poker.
Okay.
It's good. It's called Mastering Mixed Games. It was actually funny. I got him to write it at the Party Poker tournament last year. Then he won the Bellagio tournament like the week later. I'm like, oh no, is he too rich to write my book now?
Right, yeah, it's actually good timing though. It's nice that he has that to add.
But then he finished it no problem. Absolute pleasure to work with. So
it's called
shout
Mastering
out to Dylan.
Mixed Games.
Mastering Mixed Games. It's a good, solid introduction to the common games that are played. So anyway, I think re-entry tournaments are quite bad for the bad players because every time a good player enters, they extract some amount of ROI. And players who are willing to go off for 8 bullets, I highly doubt that they are negative EV on any buy-in.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not the most plus EV they possibly could be, but I doubt they're like minus 10% even on any bullet. So the problem is that casinos want to make money. And if it's no reentry, they only get one amount of rake from each person. But if it's unlimited reentry, they get lots of rake from each person. Casinos enjoy making money, and
same as operators online. This is also very relevant to online tournaments. Where remember the full tilt days when it was like I think they were one of the online, at least remember the that was when it kind of looked like they might like just grab everything was unlimited reentry.
I have another good story about this. So after Full Tilt banned me, I apologized to them. I apologized to the poker community. They took all the money out of the account, and I emailed them.
I was surprised they took all the money. Like I can get.
In their mind, it was theirs. I cheated them.
Okay. I wonder what they did with it. Did they disperse it or they just
kept it?
Yeah.
And hey, if you read any online sites terms and conditions, if you break the rules, they can take your money. I broke the rules. They can take my money. And anyway, I emailed them like a few months later, said, look, I've made right. Can I come back and play on the site? They said, sure, no problem. So I go back, I play. And then right before Black Friday, they were having these $1,000 6-entry tournaments. You could play 6 at a time right from the start. So
that was what they were doing. That's right. It wasn't even a re-entry.
It was just multi-entry,
which is insane to actually comprehend what that means. And I actually forgot. So I'm interested.
So anyway,
I literally be in the same tournament 6 times.
Correct.
Holy, that's crazy. That's actually crazy.
Long story short, I ended up taking second in the last one right before Black Friday for 320K. I was playing 200, 400 PLO at that time, and I didn't necessarily want to keep a ton of money on Full Tilt because I didn't want to punt it all. So I sent my contact there an email, said, hey, can I cash this out? He said, sure. Sent me the money, got to my account one day before Black Friday, and I had almost no money in Full Tilt. So I'm lucky.
Wow. But you did end up getting that back anyway, the rest of it, years later.
The rest of it.
Like whatever you said you had almost.
Oh, like nothing. Yeah, I got the rest back.
You had some in there, like 200, 400 PLO. You probably left.
No, I had like 10K or something.
Okay. Oh, so you literally miracle.
Like nothing. I was playing mostly on stars because I remember back then I was short stacking it because there's a huge big blinds. Everybody else has a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
And on stars, I think it was 20 big blinds. On Full Tilt, it was 40 big blinds.
Could you explain that exactly? Because I understand it, but could you articulate why playing because it doesn't always, that's not necessarily always the case. The game's extremely soft or something, maybe not, but in a spot where you could buy in, let's say it's 100, 200, and you could have 5K and everyone else has 15 or 20K. Why is that better? Because
hands change value as you get deeper stacked. I mean, if you look at No Limit Hold'em, if you go to my site, pokercoaching.com, and in the tools section, we have GTO charts for 100 big blinds, 40 big blinds, 25 big blinds, 15 big blinds, and they're different, which implies that if everybody else is playing a 100 big blind game, they're playing different ranges that are good against everybody else, but not so good against me with 15 big blinds.
Right.
So that is relevant. That is useful. And we should have logged in here so we could have shown everybody. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Too late for that.
It's not. If you want, but go ahead.
No, don't worry about it. We'll be done soon anyway. Basically, they're playing wrong ranges against you. And so if they're playing wrong ranges against you, then you're just going to beat them. So in PLO, what would you do you just basically wait for the best starting hands, like aces and kings and good suited connected.
Right. So guys are opening like whatever modest hands and maybe
ace jack 7 6.
Yeah, and 100 blinds deep with other stacks, but against your stack. Now when you pot or whatever, maybe they have to call for they're in there and you're eliminating them, and it's not.
So you get it all in with like 55% equity over and over again for $8,000.
Yeah,
and you just print money. So anyway, I was actually moving all the money from Full Tilt to the other side.
How much PL do you play? What's your breakdown in cash games versus tournaments now?
I play mostly tournaments now because of re-entry tournaments, actually. So what I used to do is I would show up, I would play the tournament at noon because most places have a tournament at noon. If I busted before about 7 p.m., I'd play cash games until midnight or so. If I busted after 7 p.m., I usually just go to bed.
What do you prefer, PLO or Hold'em now?
I prefer soft games, whatever that means.
Whatever that is, yeah.
So usually I would play like, the problem is a lot of cash games even live have gotten just not good. Like I remember I used to be able to go to Borgata and I could play like 25-50. That was just amazing. And now you go there and there's 1-5-10 game or something.
Right.
And you're like, ugh. And so now I'd rather just go to bed. But that's what I used to do. Now, though, you can re-enter in these tournaments. So you can re-enter till 7 or 8 p.m. And that means I'm always until 7 or 8 p.m. So once I'm done, then it's time to go to bed.
Right. And that increases your chance of making it through, because at that point you've played, you're out, and then at some point you're getting chips. So well, hopefully, right? Like worst case would be you have a starting stack around that end point. But
right. So I used to play a lot more cash games, but I've played less over the last few years just because of the reentry availability.
Yeah, guys, sorry about the connection. We're in Nottingham. Yes, sir. And Jonathan is going to be playing 1B of the main event. I am on to day 3 of the main event on Saturday, which feels good to say.
Sick brag, man. You usually just love bragging about this, huh?
This is exciting. Yeah, the day 1 and 2 online. So Jonathan's been very gracious. We're going to do the giveaway. We've been on for a long time. He even said he'd stay here till 7. I think we've covered so much stuff. We do want to let him play. Hopefully join us on day 3. It's 3 o'clock. Wow, this is going to be our longest podcast ever. We did start late though.
Sorry, everyone.
It's good. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. Let us go here. We'll give you guys all you have to do. So even though we don't have to answer it or ask it, we're going to go to the competition agency. We're going to pin Jonathan. Decide based on the time in RNG.
Which online side do I play in? Party Poker and Stars, and that's it.
Was that a question also here?
Yep. Knock out a question while we're here.
Oh yeah, I see some. There's some other stuff here. I don't even know.
Do you think Jeff is better than me at poker? Probably.
I don't know about that.
I have this weird mindset issue where I just presume that most people are absolute sickos, and I realize they can't all be. Not saying anything about Jeff here, just a blanket statement. And I think you'll find a lot of the best performers at most things are either very, very, very overly confident, or they generally lack confidence to the point of recognizing that they can learn infinite from everyone. And I think I kind of fall in that category, but I actually don't think it's necessarily the right category to be. So I know from the Poker Backing Company that a lot of their biggest winners just think they are the best player in the world, but they still study everything they can, right? So it's two different mindsets. And when I say I lack confidence, I don't necessarily mean I'm going to make a bad player or anything like that because of it. But at the same time, it's more like if I go sit and play the 25K against people who have $20 million in cashes, they're probably better than me. I'm not egotistical about it, I think it's important to be realistic, although I could be wrong about that. Maybe it's okay to be delusional every now and then.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
But just because they're better than me doesn't mean I'm going to all of a sudden play poorly. You know what I mean? That's the difference, I think. I think a lot of people, they get intimidated or they adjust their strategy because they think people play better than them. But that's the worst thing you can do. Right. Instead, you should just play a regular game.
Yeah, and also, it's some of those tournaments where if you're not playing all the time, it's some of those guys have a lot of history, know each other. They may not know how your exact style or how you're going to approach it, and I don't think like you said, I would never be intimidated no matter what the buy-in. I'm never going to go and feel uncomfortable. I'm going to look at some of these guys that I know are at the top of the game, top of the food chain right now, and they're tough, right? You're that they are so experienced in solvers and different spots, and they're going to be not making a ton of mistakes, but it's not like I'm going to be in there and lost. I'm going to play a tournament with that you could give me the best 10 players 1 through 10 in the world, go put me in that lineup and
you'd be minus 10% or 5%
I feel
or something.
I'm gonna exactly I could easily win. It's just they're and that's, which is cool. But
so I will give everyone a piece of advice. If you ever do feel like you are very out of your comfort zone, most people, assuming you are generally perceived to be somewhat tight, I think people probably perceive me and Jeff to be a little bit tight. Mm-hmm. The correct adjustment is to drastically overbluff. So I run a whole lot of bluffs against the good players, and right. I think they are quite successful.
Right. And that's also, and talk about that though. When you say bluff, when you run bluffs, you're talking more post flop, because pre-flop the ranges are the ranges. I think that's a common misconception too. It's I'm going to, of course you could throw in maybe some suited aces or some spots where just maybe wouldn't be taking and making some aggressive plays, but really post flop, because that's when it's that's a whole different game than pre-flop. Mm-hmm. Pre-flop are the ranges, and post-flop now you can make some people hero folding some top pairs or even overpair to the board if they think you're not capable or if you're never going to bluff or be without at least 2 pair or something, right?
Sure.
If they say you're never going to raise me on a draw, now like on a board, queen 8-4, 2 spades, if you had, like, you could maybe get away with something and make them fold kings or something.
Yeah.
You know, like that,
I mean, there is a little bit of wiggle room pre-flop, like you said, with the suited aces type hands. Like if they think you're going to be a little bit too tight, maybe they're going to 3-bet you a little bit more pre-flop.
And that's a good spot.
Which in turn for you should 4-bet more
especially
often pre-flop.
Suited ace, like a perfect hand, you're 30% worse equity, basically. You know, like suited ace 5 or whatever, like the best hand to have. But that's a spot where exactly guys maybe think, oh, I'm going to 3-bet him. He's never going to 4-bet me without aces or kings or ace king. And so that means I will
4-bet a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then post flop, like you said, there's just many spots where they might go for a thin value bet on the river, thinking that you're only going to raise with the nuts. Because if your opponent's only going to raise with nuts, it's like free to value bet pretty much. So if it's free to value bet in their minds, but it's actually not, because you're just going to raise them out of their seat every time. You're just going to print loads of equity.
Card, so that's a good example.
So anyway, if people think you're probably a little bit tight, if you you're like a middle-aged person who looks kind of chill, that's the kind of guy who needs to be bluffing as much as he possibly can.
Yeah, I love it.
Why did we go so long today? I just have long answers to everything.
No, I think
a lot of questions, also a lot to talk about. We talked with the coaching course, and also some of the just. I mean, you have a longer career too, right? You've been around. You've been around for a long, since basically the beginning of the boom, and we're live in person. I think it's always extra, makes it more fun to go a little longer. Here's Luck Westerbean saying, JL, I really like your attitude because of this and all the content. I'm a member of your site. So.
Thank you, Luck. Going back to the site, so you just mentioned the word course. And I think another big differentiator between pokercoaching.com and a lot of other sites is that a lot of other sites offer a course, and we have more like mini courses, like 30 courses that are 6 to 10 hours long each, plus a large library for the premium members of 30-minute videos answering all sorts of questions. Like imagine a question you have about poker, it'll be there. And if it's not there, send me an email and I'll make it. And that is, I think, a value that a lot of people are not providing, because a lot of people out there, not Jeff's the opposite of this. A lot of people want to do the work one time and then forget about it. And I'm happy to get in there and make new content all day, every day, right? Like, for example, just the other day, there's a spot in the $1,000 tournament where someone raised and I flat called with aces out of 25 off a 25 big blind stack. And I realized a lot of people were asking questions about this. Why would you just flat call? So instead of just ignoring them like a lot of people do, or even replying to them on Twitter like a lot of people do, I made a video about it and put it up on YouTube and answered the question, right? And that's the kind of service I try to provide to my students.
It's actually funny because I remember in the PCA, in the 10K Turbo event, the last one of this one of the years, I was there with Bryn Kinney, and it was near the money, and there was a spot where I had kings, and the button opened, and I had like 13 blinds, and I jammed, and the guy folded. I think I like showed my hand, whatever, just because it was like we were like 2 off the money or something, and there was some really short stacks, but it was just fun. And then afterward, I talked to Bryn, and he was like, you should just flat there. And I'm like, and then I thought about it, and he's like, kind of made sense, right? It's like in certain spots or certain hands, like your aces hand, like there's just certain times where it's gonna make it's like a perfect spot to trap, right? Like sub 20 blinds with kings, aces, in certain spots, right? And it's not always, because it depends on the situation, the player, or what the place they're raising from, or whatever. But it's just like interesting, right? Because in my mind, it was like I never even thought about that. I was like, I would never consider that, and I would just be like, oh, I want to protect. Maybe I'm getting called all the time because whatever. But it's like thinking about it from another perspective. It's interesting, right? And that's probably something that people just in general aren't thinking ever.
I'll tell you a problem a lot of people run into is there's been a few apps that have come out recently that have reshove charts, which give you the option of when someone raises, you either go all in or you fold. That's not how poker works. Right. There's a call option.
Yeah. and even more so, taking that to consideration is it's so relevant. Like if you're flatting off 20, 25 blinds with aces, it also matters a lot too, the stacks. Let's say you're in the cutoff. Sure. What does the button have? How many blinds? The small blind, big blind. Because if they have sub 15 blinds or certain stacks, like them, the propensity for them to shove goes up a lot, versus if it's 40, 60, 80 blinds, you maybe not want to flat because it's like the big blind's probably just going to complete. You're going to go multi-way. It's just like these little things. Or is the guy if you know some of the players on your left, what are their tendencies? These all matter.
It matters a lot,
right?
But
So
I was going to say in general, if you only go all in or fold off that like 25 big blind stack, I think you can jam in that spot like 15 of hands. But if you have a calling range, you can play something like 26% of hands. My memory might be slightly off there. But you get to play a lot more hands profitably.
Right.
Because you do flat call sometimes. And I look at the GTO strategy. Go watch the video on YouTube, youtube.com/pokercoaching. And you get to flat with aces like half the time. And you should flat with aces. And I say in the video, I'm probably flatting aces 100% here. And also a few more of the suited connected type hands because I want to see flops.
It's also interesting. I mean, it start leveling or thinking about it, depending who you're playing against. Also, if you're playing against a good competent player, like if I'm playing and you flat, like, well, you just said 100%, but let's say a good known player flats off like 20, 25 blinds, like immediately, I'm very got a pretty damn good hand. I doubt he's flatting fours here, right?
You should flat fours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the thing is by flatting aces, the opponents
now,
can't get after it all that much. They can't bluff you all that much
right.
often because you have aces sometimes.
Right. That's exactly how you're getting protection.
Right.
See king queen suited, queen jack suited. It's
flatting aces lets you flat more marginal stuff.
Exactly.
Whereas if you always jam the aces, it means you're flatting just a lot of marginal stuff. In which case, the players you attack can just blindly re-raise you.
Yeah, and of course, in a 1K random spot, early
maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, it depends. So it's interesting. It's definitely that's why poker's so fun. Every spot, every set, stack size, every person. There's really never a similar situation. I mean, they're similar, but not the same. So
similar but different.
Yes, that's why it's so fun. All right, Jonathan, you're going to crush today in the 10K.
Yes, I am.
We are going to do this giveaway, and we are going to give away $1,188 worth of value for Jonathan's premium.
Pokercoaching.com/premium to check it out. Pokercoaching.com/flow. Go there.
Any of the above. You can do any of the above. Check it out. Also, you can do some samples. You don't have to sign up, right? They get
a free
quizzes and
trial membership that never expires.
That's
so go through all of it. And if you don't like it, don't sign up. If you like it and you learn something, sign up and continue learning and get good at poker.
There we go. So I'm going to let you decide. Someone's going to get it right now from Twitter. Whoever followed those instructions, if you're kind of
what do I do?
Coming in, all you have to do is tell me when. That's what you have to do. Is you tell me when. Let's give them another 10 seconds to get eligible to type, ask a question on Twitter, follow the instructions, and then whenever you decide, that's it. Someone's going to get a free membership to your course for the 1 year. It's exciting. It's a big giveaway. It's the biggest giveaway on the podcast for sure. We usually give away $55 party poker ticket, which is exciting, but this is like 22-3 times bigger. So this is massive. This is a moment. We're having a moment on the podcast, and Jonathan's going to deliver it to you whenever he feels.
When are we doing it? Are we ready? Are we
It's
ready
up
soon?
to you. I'm ready. I'm here. I'm
Is this like a random number generator where it's running and then you'll randomly select the number?
Someone's going to get picked. Their Twitter's going to pop up. We're going to message them, DM them, and say boom. And then what do they need? Well, after
I just need their email.
That's it. That's that simple. Someone is about to get this value delivered to them, and just provide an email. So you tell me when they're going to get it.
All right. Now seems like a good time.
So, now seems fine. Boom. Dobo78. That sounds like a nice winner.
Dobo78.
And they follow. They got the
they're doing it. They follow directions.
That's beautiful. That would have hurt to pick someone that didn't have it, that didn't follow or whatever. So huge win. Please provide your emails. Oh, I'm just vibing at the hotel. And okay, so we did that. And what are your thoughts on the Triton? You feel that this is a short deck? Oh, that's why I was asking. Short deck and Triton. Have you watched some of the short deck play?
I have done nothing with short deck, and the reason is because I view it kind of like PLO about 8 years ago, where I think it will be a game. I think it will be played, but I don't think it will become the game. And once it becomes clear it will become the game, I will start focusing on it. But right now in life, like I said, time is limited. And a lot of those games are happening at the really high stakes. But if they just start having like random 5K short deck tournaments everywhere, I mean, maybe I'm going to have to learn it. But I don't think we're there yet. And I don't want to spend a lot of time learning a game that I don't think is going to be a game that I necessarily have to play in the future. Right? Like if you were a limit hold'em player back in the day, you had to make a move. And if you didn't, you messed up.
Right.
And so I made the adjustment to no limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to, but it was just obvious it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it might be happening with PLO back in the day. So I spent a year playing PLO.
Yeah, it did feel like it was going to be spread. But I thought even tournaments, everything, just like going to a casino was going to be like mainly PLO at some point.
They tried, but it just didn't happen. I mean, it's happened in some places in the world still. There are like a lot of, like in Europe, there are a lot of places where they play a lot of PLO, but that's not where I am. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily required for me.
It's not for your
your day. Yeah.
And I mean, like I'm like this last summer at Vegas thing, I played like PLO cash games twice. So it's not like I'm afraid to go play or anything like that. But if there was a short deck game, I would definitely not go play.
Right.
Because I just don't need to.
Right.
But I think it's a fun game. Seems like a good gambling game.
It
So
is. It is fun. It seems like fun. It's always good that there's innovation in poker. It's important to keep bounties, KO tournaments, these things. It makes it, it changes. Little nuances can make it, keep it fresh and interesting. And that's what I believe too about poker is it's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's always, there's a form, you have variation, 5 card, big, these draws. Like there's always a way to spice it up. And if it's not, no limit's not sexy enough for you, there's always things you can do. 8-game mixed games are also cool. And I haven't delved in that rabbit hole yet. And like you said, you haven't so much either, maybe down the line on your site. And there's a book from Dylan Lind and some other stuff. So it's fun. There's always ways to move. And also poker's just no limit hold'em so intense. There's so much stuff learning. It's like, it's still fun to just get better. And learn.
It's really just about focus time. Like if I was living in Vegas and I wanted to go play cash games at Bellagio or Aria every day, let's say that was my goal. Like I used to do a long time ago.
Right.
I would go to Bellagio every single day to play. I would make a point to learn whatever the main games are there, whatever that means. And that might be a game. But that's not what I'm doing in life right now. Now I'm living in New York City, making a no limit hold'em training site.
Right.
So that's not so applicable, right? But I do know a few of my friends, they went out to Vegas or LA. If you're in LA, you sure better know how to play PLO because they play a lot of PLO. If you're in Vegas, you sure better know how to play 8-game because they play a lot of 8-game. And you want to make sure when you walk into the casino that you can play whatever the most profitable game is, whatever that means.
You also don't want to be, you want to be prepared for whatever's given. You don't want to be lost or miss out on something.
Assuming that's what you're doing on a regular basis.
Yes.
If it's not what you're doing, like, do I need to go learn how to play Raz? I'm going to miss out on 3 Raz tournaments at the World Series every year.
Probably not. You could probably not dive in.
That'll be all right.
Yeah. So
right. And I feel like a lot of the other games are not like Raz, but they're comparable enough.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, we covered a ton, guys. Again, check out Jonathan's site, pokercoaching.com. And of course, all of his different social stuff, very active in the poker community, provides a lot of value. Great guy, family man as well. And we wish him the best in this 10K main event. We'll see him later this week regardless. And maybe we'll go check out his nickname Little John. And we're in Nottingham, so maybe we'll get some content from Sherwood Forest.
I'll go to the Forest if you want to go to the Forest.
I would like to go. Maybe I'm trying to think when it could be. It would have to maybe be, it's hard. But what day are you leaving here?
I don't know.
Not
when
sure.
I'm done.
You haven't booked a return? Or?
No, I've booked one, but I don't know. It's like the day after it's over.
Okay.
So I'm not staying late. Got a kid and wife and kids at home.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think when we could go. It might have to be like in the morning one day because it's kind of.
I'm not a morning person, but I'll do mornings.
I don't know when can we go? You're playing today. You're gonna make it through.
I'm playing every day. So far, I've played till almost midnight every day.
Well, so maybe tomorrow morning might be the only play.
Tomorrow morning, I have a breakfast with my students.
Saturday morning is day 3. Maybe Sunday morning.
Maybe Sunday morning if we're both broke.
If we're not in the final. So anyway, all right, John, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Jonathan Little, again, check it out, guys. We'll see you soon. That's number 40 in the books podcast. It's out on all the platforms. And thank you for following along. Thanks for asking questions, and congrats to the winner for that giveaway. And of course, you guys can sign up for free and check out some membership stuff and take some quizzes and keep learning. So thanks again. Thanks, Jonathan. We'll see you soon.